Well, hello again. Welcome back to the most riveting trial we have ever covered. Trial of the century. Trial of all the centuries. Right here. Madison just could not take a nap. She had to stay awake and see it all. Carmen. Thank you for your $5 super chat. I appreciate it. So does Madison. That's what she said, Puddletown? I don't know. Kind of, It's the only thing I can say to that comment. Hey, Kelly, how are you doing? I hope you are doing well and getting over that flu. Because that has been nasty. And a happy new year to you, Flash fan. Oh, she's just been absolutely riveted. She was laying down on my lap, and all you could see in the camera was this little tiny hand come up and grab my hair. Well, Puddletown, write me a song. I can pay you in thank yous. Oh, yes. Don't you wish we all realized that when we were little kids of, that naps, how much we were going to want them when we were adults? I don't take a lot of naps. If I take a nap, I'm generally sick or I'm really, really tired. But yeah. All right. She'll be here probably for another hour or so. Just let me know. And I will send you a link. You miss naps, instead you mod, and you can nap while you're modding. All right. I listened to the motion thing. It was super short and kind of boring. There wasn't anything. I'm kind of looking a little windblown. I'm sorry. I was downstairs and my daughter-in-law texted me. She's like, "What are you doing?" At the time, I was talking to Carmen, feeding Madison. I had dinner on the stove. So I'm like, I am like feeding. I told Bria, like, I'm feeding Madison with one hand and making dinner with the other. I was like, holy smokes, how did I do this when I was younger? I know. There wasn't really a lose. She was more complaining that Lori was, that she doesn't have time. Like, she didn't have time at lunch to talk to her advisors, and that because she can only talk for 20 minutes at a time on the telephone from prison. It's like, sorry, you lose some privileges when you do that to people. Do you want some special privileges? You probably do. But anyway, it was hard to get this stuff through, and that I think they weren't going to have to worry about it with one of the witnesses, because basically the judge was telling her, you cannot talk, you can't ask the cops why you or your brother were not arrested that day. And she was like, I wasn't going to ask that anyway. And she did say it pretty much just like that. So he's like, she it does speak volumes. And I'm sorry if it's loud. If it's for real loud, I'll mute in just a minute. But it was basically, he said, if this officer gets on the stand today and that's where you feel like your questions are going to go, tell me you need a break. So that's basically what I was left. So I've got it queued up to where the jurors is coming in. I have it sped up, and hopefully it'll make it a little easier to listen to for all of us. But here we go back to excitement. She just got acquitted. Sure. In her dreams.
President, you can continue with your direct examination.
Thank you. When we took our break for lunch, we had just admitted Exhibit 215, I believe. And inside this contained the beneficiary designation form that was filled out by Mr. Vallow. Oops, wait till we get our Elmo up. Correct, this is the form that we were discussing from the February 26th beneficiary change.
Yes, that's correct.
So we see that it's signed and notarized.
Correct.
And what this then shows is the primary beneficiary is now Ethel K. Woodcock.
Yes.
And then were there also contingent beneficiaries?
Yes, there were.
What are contingent beneficiaries?
Contingent beneficiaries are listed in the event the insured passes away and the primary beneficiary had predeceased the insured, meaning passing away before the insured. Since the primary beneficiary.
Hello, Daddy Shortnuts. How you doing? Yes, baby in chat. This is my granddaughter. She's very sleepy. She'll be with me for about another hour, an hour and a half or so. Then she's going to go home. This trial should put her to sleep, as it has everyone else. What was tonight's dinner? Fancy beef Wellington? No. We just had some easy peasy stuff because my husband had stuff he had to go do. Obviously, I had to get back up here, and I had her. So, wasn't anything great.
Beneficiary was no longer living, it would then drop to the contingent beneficiaries to receive the death benefit.
Okay. So if Kay Woodcock had not been around when Charles passed, then it would have gone to Nicholas Charles Vallow and Zachary Chase Vallow.
That's correct.
When a primary beneficiary or contingent beneficiary is removed from someone's life insurance policy, does Banner Life Insurance call that person up and let them know, hey, letting you know you're not the primary beneficiary anymore?
No,
Why not?
they're not the policy owner, so they would not be entitled to that information.
So again, the policy owner is the person who can do whatever they want with the policy.
Correct.
On July 15th of 2019, did Lori Ann Vallow call Banner Life Insurance to make a death claim?
Yes.
And was that call recorded?
Yes, it was.
And is that the audio that you listened to before we took our break for lunch?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, if I may publish this? And again, that's just something that's the normal course of business that Banner Life records all of those people.
All of
calling
our
in.
calls are recorded, yes.
Hope we get to hear the audio from this one because we haven't heard any other audio. Last time we had meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and macaroni and cheese.
Claims Department, this is Robin. May I have the policy number? Sure. Yes. Okay, one moment, please. May I have the name of the insured? L. Charles Vallow. And who am I speaking with? This is Lori Vallow. And your relationship to the insured? He's my husband. Okay, one moment.
makes me want to throw up, Daddy Short Nuts. It really does.
Okay, ma'am, I'm just going to need to ask you a few questions so that I can open the claim, and then I can go over the claim procedure with you and answer any questions that you may have afterwards. That would be great. Okay, first of all, may I have your daytime phone number, please? Sure. It's And what was the date of Mr. Vallow's passing? July 11th. And what was the cause of his passing? Well, he was shot. Okay. So I don't know how I want to put that. Okay. All right. And I hate to ask, but is it? Yeah, you can just say yes or no. Was it a homicide? No, it was an accident. An accident. Okay. Okay. And what state did he pass away in? Arizona. Okay. Bear with me for one moment. I just need to pull up a few other things. Okay. Are you aware of who the primary beneficiary of the policy is? It's me. Okay. And may I have your, I'm sorry, one moment, my computer just went away for a second. Okay. And may I have your current mailing address? Sure. It's 55.
Sure, it's cell block 9. Cell block B, number 9.
5249. Okay, ma'am. That is all the information I need to open the claim. What we will do now is review the policy and the file to confirm the beneficiary information and determine the claim requirements that we will need to settle this particular claim. Once we have completed our review, we will prepare a claim packet to send to the named beneficiary once that has been confirmed. And the claim packet can either be mailed or emailed or faxed. How would you like to receive the correspondence? Email would be great. Okay. What is your email address? It's Lori, Lori.
I don't get it, Carmen.
All right, so you should receive an email from our office within the next 3 to 5 business days or sooner. It will have the instructions listed. Once you receive the information, if you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to give our office a call, and then we can go from there. Okay, is there anything I can help you with at this time? That's it, I think. Okay, ma'am. Well, I'm very sorry for your loss. You take care of yourself. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All right, so we hear in Exhibit 215, that's yourself speaking with Ms. Vallow.
Yes,
And we hear her, you ask her if she knew who the primary beneficiary was, correct?
yes,
And who did she advise was the primary beneficiary?
herself.
We also hear you ask about sort of the cause of death for Charles Vallow, correct?
Yes,
And you asked when there was a pause if it could be, well, after she told you he was shot, right?
yes,
Did you need to know sort of, was it a suicide? Was it a homicide? Was it a,
correct. Yes,
and so did you follow up by asking her if it was a homicide?
yes,
And she advised you it was an accident.
correct.
You got a phone number from her, the 808-755-5452 number,
Yes,
and her email address, the Lori for Style at iCloud account.
yes,
And then you had verified with her that she wanted to receive any correspondence by email.
Wait, they redacted all out of the phone call, and then she just names it all off in the questions? Okay. Carmen, quit changing your picture. I'm never going to know who you are.
Email, correct?
correct. Yes,
And in fact, did you advise her that the named beneficiary would receive information via email then?
correct.
Is it normal when you have someone call in to make a death claim to wait and look up things before you let them know?
Yes, that is our standard procedure.
Okay, so you weren't doing anything weird there. That's just what you guys have to
No.
do. So what does Banner Life do to verify that that person that Lori Vallow was the beneficiary?
That one.
We review everything on the policy file in the system, as well as any paper document that has come through, such as an ownership change, beneficiary change, anything of that nature during the entire life of the policy since it was issued, to confirm that information, to make sure that we are providing the information to the appropriate party.
Did you in this call know at some point that there was perhaps something incorrect about her being the beneficiary?
Not during the call.
Did you look up afterwards?
Yes.
When somebody calls in to notify that there's been a death and try to get the policy payout, what would normally be required? Do they just have to call in and then you have to send them a check if their name's on there?
No. We review each policy to determine the claim requirements for that specific claim. They can vary from claim to claim, depending on the situation with that particular policy. That is why we do prepare a claim packet specific for each claim that has been reported. We provide a packet of information with a cover letter that lists the claim requirements that are needed. And the two things that are always going to be required is our specific claim form that we provide for the beneficiary to complete, as well as a death certificate, which states both cause and manner of death.
So
Hello, Zach. Is this why my chat was, I was told my chat was mean? Is that why? Let this testimony remind you to change your beneficiary forms when you have a life change. Don't yet let your ex-lover get your cash. Great life advice there, Nidawow. We first ensure that there's no way we can deny the claim. Also true. Also true. You're always nice, Zach. I know. It could have been worse. The hair. Of course, the hair. She's almost pretty. Wow.
after Lori Vallow calls saying she's the primary beneficiary of that life insurance policy for her husband, Charles Vallow, did Banner Life Insurance actually determine that she was not the primary beneficiary?
That's correct.
So now that you know she's not the primary beneficiary, how did you notify her of that?
I believe there was a letter that was submitted to her via email as she requested correspondence to be delivered to her in that aspect.
So would the letter tell her who was the primary beneficiary?
No,
Would the letter told her when that was changed?
no,
It just would have advised her that she was not the primary beneficiary. Would Banner Life ever tell anyone who the new beneficiary is?
no.
Why not?
We can't release that information. That's personal and private information.
And that's something that just the policy owner has the right to determine.
Correct.
So was an email sent to Lori Vallow on July 18th of 2019 to advise her that she was not the beneficiary?
Yes.
And
Thanks, Zach. And you're almost a nice guy. Almost. Actually, you're a very nice guy. See, I can't even do it. Whatever. I'm horrible. I can't play the game.
did she call back to speak with you about the issue?
Yes.
And was there sort of a back and forth of phone tag before you were able to finally speak with her?
Yes, I believe she left a voicemail for me as I was unavailable. I returned her call and I believe I had to leave her a voicemail, and then she did call me back and we were able to connect at that point.
Okay. Aaron, if I can have my paralegal approach with exhibit 280.
Nasty Grams. Well.
And if you can listen to that and see if you recognize that as yourself and Ms. Vallow again from the July 18th of 2019 conversation.
Well, thank you, Zach. Yes, you are. You try to come off as this mean person. You're not. You're too nice. You're a nice guy. We all know it. We all know. Oops. The other AJ is streaming right now. She's from Mexico. I don't know. Well, too many.
Maybe just let us know when you have heard and recognized that.
This has
as the
been
driver
horrible.
Of 2019 call.
He's not a mean guy. Well, see, he beat you to it.
Yes, I do recognize the phone call.
Thank you. Your Honor, the state will move to admit Exhibit 280.
280.
280.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
280 is admitted.
And we may publish that.
Yeah, no fun, Nidow.
Claims Department, this is Robin. May I have the policy number? Sure. Okay, do you have that policy pulled up? Who am I speaking with? This is Lori Vallow. I'm returning your call. Yeah. I missed you. Okay, no problem. Let me just get all of this information up. Okay, so in your voicemail, you stated that you had something that stated you are the beneficiary of the policy? Right, so I have the original policy where I was the beneficiary, the sole beneficiary, and then we changed the policy to where I was 80% and we added two people, the coaches who invested in our company for each 10%. And that's the last one I have. That's the last update that I have. So can you tell me when that was changed again? I mean, I know my husband is the agent on record, so he can change it. He's the owner. Okay, I don't see anything regarding the second change that you said. I don't, and with those percentages, I don't see anything at all with you as 80% at any time. Okay, so maybe that's something he just told him he was going to do. That's just a handwritten copy I have that I found. So. Okay, so well, I really can't give too much information, but I can tell you that the beneficiary was changed in March of this year. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what he was doing since we have 5 kids and we've been married for 15 years. Oh, I'm sorry. So I know he owes a lot of people money, and I was worried if I got money, they'd be coming after me for money. Right, no, I understand that. But now I will be with none. So, but did he change it to one person or was it several people? Unfortunately, I can't release that. I'm sorry. Okay. No, I know you can't tell. We're in the business. My husband is the agent. He's the agent, so. Got it. Okay. We deal with this business all the time. So I kind of know how it works, but I'm completely surprised. Right. We have our 7-year-old with autism that we adopted together. So I am surprised that.
Lori, she doesn't care. Like, she can't tell you. Doesn't matter if he was an agent. It doesn't matter if we're married for 15 years. It doesn't matter if you have a 7-year-old son with autism. Doesn't matter. She can't tell you. Period. Full stop. End of story. She does suck, Nidow. Not in a good way at all. Sorry, that was probably too far. She just frustrates me to no end. Like her entitlement. Yes, period, full stop. Yes, and she just doesn't care. It's like, well, I was this and we were this, and it's like, doesn't matter. Oh, okay. Here, let me break the law for you. Just you. Because you said he was an agent, so that clears you of everything. It's like trying to make the sovereign citizen argument valid. Oh, it's disgusting. I do not do that. I only do that when I'm making fun of her. I never do that because I'm not 12. If I went up to my husband and was like, hey, like, do you think that we could, like go out to dinner or something? Or like, I could get like another new purse. Do you think I could do that? He would be like, yes, Carmen, I sent it. He would look at me like he didn't even know who I was. Bray, are you seriously getting married on Thursday? Because I saw that right when I was like ending the stream. And I'm not answering that. Yes, you don't understand. If I wouldn't have unalived him if I weren't the beneficiary. I mean, duh. Yeah, I don't like it. Do that. I don't like it. Of course they will. Flash ban. Well, well, congratulations, number one. Number two, it's about time. You know, you pretty much have been married at this point, so. But congratulations. No, Carmen has teenage puberty voice and you prefer it. Oh, okay. She looks like she's got some, like a spicy meatball. Something that Gabby would say right there, and her paws. Turns out you guys were both too lazy to keep looking. I highly doubt that, Bri. Oh. Zach. Dave has a shirt to share with you, but he cannot. All right.
That he would do that without telling me. I'm so sorry. So, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that, even though it's community. No, and it's his
No, this is a contract that we have with the insured, exactly. So he's able to make any changes, you know, during the lifetime of the policy.
Can I check? I mean, I have a policy, a $2 million policy on me. And since he's the agent, would he have been able to change the beneficiary on my policy?
Not if he was the agent. He would have had to own the policy, but I can certainly check.
But if he would have signed my name, could he have done that? I wonder.
I mean, I don't, you know, I would hope that wouldn't happen, but let me just pull up. Okay, let me just.
Sorry, guys, I have to show you what's happening. She's like, she's sitting up, falling over, and falling asleep. I know my name is probably in the way. I'm sorry. I don't know that I can get it off of there. But it's too funny. And she's just too cute. But I will make her more comfortable in a minute. She did it to herself. She may be bored. She may be bored. I sent you the link. I don't know where else, unless I didn't send it to the right email again, but I sent it to the one I always send it to. So yes, she's summing up how we all feel. But sorry, I had to show you that. Also, Lori continuing to make excuses. Well, did he sign my name? Because I have a $2 million life insurance policy on me. Who cares? Nobody cares. She can't tell you.
Take a look and see what I can find on you.
It's under Lori Vallow. It would be under Lori Vallow. We have a $2 million policy on me, but I'm not even sure it's with Life.
Yeah, I'm not showing that it's with us.
Okay. It might be Life of the Southwest. We work with several companies.
Right.
I could call them, and I'm just asking the question, like, I could call them and ask them and make sure the beneficiary is who I say. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I would. I mean, if you have a concern of that nature, I certainly would call and check on your own policies if you know, have concern if something may have happened.
Well, and I would have to change it anyway because he was the beneficiary as far as I know on my policy.
Right. So you would definitely want to update that at this point. And you know,
what happens? Like if something happened to me, say today, and it's under him, and he's deceased, what happens to that policy?
Well, if there's not every contract's different, but I mean, more than likely, if there was not a contingent beneficiary named, it would go to your estate.
To their estate.
Yeah. But if there's, if there's a contingent beneficiary name, then it would go to that person.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Well, thank you. I just needed that information.
Okay, no, not a problem. All right, you take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
So in this call, we hear yourself again with Miss Vallow,
Yes,
and we hear her telling you that her husband left her with 5 kids to care for, right?
yes,
And she told you that she understands how life insurance works, right?
correct.
That she and her husband run this business about it, right?
Yes,
But then she asks you if an agent would be able to change who the beneficiary was.
correct.
So she didn't really understand it.
I felt that she did not understand it fully.
And again, she told you she understood how this all worked, but then she asked you what would happen if she died. At this point, who would get, her money since her husband had been her beneficiary.
Yes, she did.
So you had to advise her of the fact that if there were contingent beneficiaries, they would get it.
Yes,
Ultimately, did Banner Life Insurance have any insurance policy with Lori Vallow?
no, she did not hold any coverage under Banner Life.
When she was talking to you, at one point she asked you or said, there's nothing you can do about that, right?
Correct,
And there's nothing you can do to change that. That is something that the owner is able to do,
correct. We could not make any changes.
regardless of if you feel bad for someone.
Exactly.
Is it awkward for you when you have to talk to someone who thinks that they were the beneficiary and learns they're not?
It can be, yes.
Was that your last interaction with Lori Vallow?
To my recollection, yes.
Who did Banner Life Insurance Company ultimately pay the $1 million policy to?
To Mr. Vallow's sister, Kay Woodcock.
And before the insurance company, before Banner Life would pay that out to Kay Woodcock, did you actually have to call and verify with the police that she was not involved in the homicide or the murder of Charles Vallow?
Yes, that's correct.
I have no other questions for this witness.
Cross?
No questions, Your Honor.
Excuse me?
No questions.
All right. Are there any questions for this witness from any member of the jury? I don't see any. You can step down. Thank you.
I'm shocked
State can call its next witness.
because between her and the state, they always have to talk. What's she gonna say? Did you think that I should have paused that long when you asked me how he passed away? Gabby, naughty, naughty. She probably did enjoy telling her now that she knows what happened, allegedly. Judge is looking for his next job because this one is running him out of the judgeship. He's like, if only I could have been a captain of a ship. But anywhere but here.
It looks like he was a captain of a ship. He's freaking tan. Good for you.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
All right. You're going to have a seat. Just walk around the court. Have a seat to my left.
Wood
Colonel
mail game
Sanders
doesn't
coming up.
roll off the tongue. Ditch Digger probably looks good to him right now. Oh. Alrighty then. Here, here's a swashbuckle. You okay over there, Carmen?
I'm fine.
Civil War reenactor.
Thank you. Would you please
Fair
introduce
enough.
yourself to the jury?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeff Moberg. I'm a forensic scientist with the Arizona Department of Public Safety in the Firearms and Toolmark Unit.
How long have you worked there?
I've been with
This is why
DPS
we get
since
hexed with
February of
snow.
2013. I've been assigned to the firearms unit since October 1st of
What'd you say?
I said, this is why we get hexed with snow.
Hey, whoopsies. I didn't catch Naughty Gabby. I don't want to catch Naughty Gabby. I mean, I caught that Naughty Gabby up there that I won't put on my screen saying C words.
Yeah.
Huh?
I said, oh, Gabby.
But I don't know if that's what you were laughing at, Carmen.
I was
I'm
just
feeling-
laughing at all of them.
Oh,
I just said Colonel Sanders, and then they were like, pew, 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 pew.
he looks jolly.
He looks like something.
Okay, we won't talk about it.
2018.
Can you tell us about your education and training to work in the area of firearms identification?
Sure. Part of the hiring standards for the DPS Crime Lab is I do have a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Arizona State University. My specialized firearms training is I attended the National Firearms Examiner Academy hosted by the ATF in Laurel, Maryland. The academy consists of 4 phases. It's approximately a year long, with phase 1 being research and history of and all of the techniques that go into it. Phase 2 is a full on-site 17-week training experience in Maryland, practicing exactly what it is that we do. Then we go into practical examinations, meaning I'm doing competency tests and proficiency tests throughout the summer and preparing a research project, which in phase 4, I will present and conduct mock trials.
Do you have ongoing training as well?
We do. Every year we're offered the opportunity to attend SHOT Show, which is the firearms industry trade show in Las Vegas every year. There's also the Association of Firearms and Toolmark Examiners.
Flashman, you can't drop that on us and then leave. I hope you are okay. I'm not going to have to stream anybody else's trial.
I didn't call you. You're fine. I'm just kidding. I really do hope everything's okay.
Carmen needs a fan. Bryce says, I'm a Carmen fan. He does have a little smirk that we're not in on any of it. You don't think men should color their hair except maybe? Oh my gosh. I was trying to lay Madison down. I missed all the fun. Can you tell us
When
your
you
beard?
tried to lay her,
What?
When you tried to lay her down, she was like,
Well, she like her mouth is hanging open, so she's just like drooling all over my arm. I was trying to lay her down, and I didn't want to wake her up, and she's out. But now my leg is crossed, and it's hurting already.
oof.
Wow, Flashman, that's scary.
Flashman, that ain't nothing.
Stop it. Well, Flashman, hopefully it doesn't turn into anything worse. I promise it wasn't me or anybody in this chat.
I make no promises.
We can't all be cops. Well, that would be weird.
I can make so many jokes, but I won't. Hit play.
Okay.
Meeting once a year, which is our annual training. It is nothing but peers within my discipline doing seminars and presenting on findings for various cases and various new technologies coming out.
And in DPS itself, is there any type of QAS or means to ensure that all of the firearms examiners are continuing to perform appropriately?
Absolutely. After the training, we are all given a competency test. We have to demonstrate our ability to do the job. So it's a very complex test consisting of all of the disciplines that we do, tool marks, firearms, serial number restoration, various
Which
other
witness
aspects of
that
the
was
job.
that he shortened it.
Then every year we're giving a proficiency test from an outside source, so we're testing our continued or demonstrating our continued competency within the field.
So I want to start by asking you just some generic questions about how a semi-automatic handgun works.
So a semi-automatic gun, meaning a semi-automatic means that it is designed to fire one round with a single pull of the trigger, but it's also meant to cycle the firearm. And what I mean by cycle is the process of loading a firearm means introducing a
Didn't
magazine,
even ask a
particularly in a
question.
semi-automatic, which
He
contains
said, I
a
want
number of
to ask you
cartridges.
some questions.
Cycling it
That's
means
how this works.
pulling
And
the
he's
slide
like,
back and
okay.
allowing it to go forward. When that happens, it strips off one of the cartridges from the magazine and loads it into chamber. So we call that chambering. At that point, it is ready to fire. When the trigger is pulled, the firing pin is released on a striker type system. It's a spring loaded firing pin, or a hammer type system where it's a weighted hammer that goes in and strikes a firing pin to hit this back of this cartridge to ignite the round. It then begins, the pressure builds up within that cartridge, spills the bullet down the barrel, but that same amount of pressure is also working to push it back. So it pushes that slide rearward. So it starts to move it back, unlocks the barrel, lets it go all the way back, and then comes forward and loads the next one.
So I'm going to put up first, I have Exhibit 76 here. Is this a semi-automatic handgun?
Yes, it is.
And then I'm going to put 85 in here. Is that what a live round looks like?
A live round, or we call it a cartridge, it's just a single unit of ammunition, consists of the cartridge case, primer, powder, and projectile.
So when a handgun is used and the trigger is pulled, we have a projectile that goes out to the barrel of the gun. What happens to the rest of that cartridge or live round?
So the rectangular portion on top, the black portion of the slide that's on top, that whole thing moves. So it will actually, when the cartridge is fired, the pressure of that cartridge will force that rearward, and it opens up that chamber so that the expelled cartridge can be ejected, the cartridge case will be ejected, and the new one can be loaded in via the magazine. The very bottom here, where the kind of the hand is grabbing at the bottom, is where the magazine is inserted.
So put Exhibit 77. Is this where you're talking about where the cartridge is going to eject from?
That is actually showing the side of the barrel, that which houses the chamber, but that section opens up, and that is where the ejection takes place.
So you had talked about this in some of the different jobs that you do as a firearms analyst. When a person fires a semi-automatic handgun, are there any sort of identifying tool marks that might be left on the projectile or the bullet?
Absolutely. All of that pressure that builds up and is pushing the cartridge case back, it is resting against what we call the breech face. The breech face has a hole in it where the firing pin comes through and it strikes the primer. Primer is just that little button in the center of the cartridge. It's actually a very volatile compound that ignites the powder charge instantly. So all of that pressure builds up and presses against that breech face. This being a semi-automatic, as it cycles back, the barrel has to unlock. So it moves slightly back, but then as it unlocks, it drops down. And as it drops down, that cartridge case is scratching up against the surface of that breech face, imparting all kinds of marks that we use for comparison purposes.
When the projectile itself is fired out the barrel, are there any tools?
Does this law enforcement wear purple today too? Because FBI guy had purple on. And that's very nice of Chelsea Whitaker to always make you point out one nice thing. So you like his tie. Lori has a resting breech face. Wow. And Bryce says he does his own sign language interpreting too. Alrighty. I'm going to mute because you like his smirk. It doesn't, that side of his mouth like never rest. That's his happy side. It is easy. Maybe that'll lessen the snow, the April, sorry. I don't know what heresies, but maybe that'll ease up the April snow hex that was placed upon us. Doubt it.
You shall get snow,
Marks
my
left
pretty.
on that?
Yes. So when the bullet is being pushed out of the barrel, through the barrel, all of that pressure is pushing it through. A barrel is rifled. Now, rifling is a pattern of lands and grooves that are in a rotational pattern that impart the spin on there. All of that pressure causes the back end of that projectile to expand and to fill that void. So as it's going through, it's dragging along the inside of the barrel, picking up any of the imperfections from the manufacturing process that are there, similar to a fingerprint. So when it comes out, we're able to look around there, and you can see the pattern of the rifling all the way around the bullet and the individual striations or scratches on the surface coming from the inside of the barrel.
So if you are provided with a gun, casings, and projectiles, are you able to determine in any way if those casings or projectiles were fired from a specific gun?
Yes, and we do that by doing what we call a comparison. So we go ahead and we take that fired evidence and we're going to look at it. We want to verify that there's markings on there that we can use for comparisons. Then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to test fire this firearm. I'm going to collect those test fired cartridge cases and projectiles if need be, and I'm going to do a comparison side by side on my comparison microscope. It's just a high powered microscope that allows me to see two things simultaneously side by side at the same magnification. So I'm going to have them side by side and try to line up those scratches and marks that are left on there from the machining process to the next.
So when we're talking about a barrel, you said there's like lands and grooves in there. Is that alone enough for you to identify if a projectile was fired from a specific gun, or are you looking for more specific, unique characteristics from each gun?
So each one, we start with what we call class characteristics. The class characteristics are those that are pre-designed before manufacture, such as what caliber is it? Is it a 9mm? Is it a 45,
He's just waiting for her to
40,
quit.
whatever it
talking,
may
and he
be.
just answers, and in a while,
Then
he's
we're
not-
going to look at how many lands and grooves are there. If there is, maybe there's 5, maybe there's 6, maybe there's 8. All of that we use as an initial screening. Can this come from this gun? Say I have a gun that's a 9mm and I have a 45 bullet. That's not possible. So it's an automatic rule out. But those imperfections from the manufacturing process are what we use, and how the scratches translate into there are very unique to those barrels.
So you said you test fire the weapon. Why do you do that? What are you using that for?
Well, when a case like that comes in, whenever we receive a weapon, we first and foremost, we want to verify, number one, that it's safe and unloaded. Number two, that it's actually operational as a weapon. So we're verifying that it can fire and it works as designed. But then I'm also using that time, I document the condition of it as I received it. I document any of the features that are on there, such as in this particular case up here, we have a brown and black gun. That's one of the notes that I would have on there.
When you are doing this comparison and looking for these unique characteristics that you may see from the tools or the actual combustion of this, are there different levels of interpretation or conclusions that you're able to reach during this comparison process?
Yes, when we're doing a comparison, we're first and foremost looking for marks that recreate. So the different levels of opinion that I can form at the end is I can identify it. I can say this piece of fired evidence was fired from this gun. I could say this piece of evidence was not fired from this piece of gun, or this particular gun, excuse me. Or if there's just none of those marks that are reproducing, or an insufficient amount of marks for us to actually compare, we can actually go out inconclusive, meaning I'm not sure whether it was or not.
So I'm going to have my paralegal go up to you with a few items here. It is exhibits 2,
Yes, Gabby, that's what it is.
35, 38, 40, 239.
Might be great sandwich residue. Greek salad residue. Very good one. Is not Greek yogurt residue. I do know
So
that.
sort of keep those. And I'm going to start with 246, the handgun. Were you provided with that gun as part of a request to determine if you could, well, were you provided with that gun?
I was. When we receive evidence such as a firearm, we actually initial, date, and put the identifying information to the case on the firearm. Right here, just underneath the slide on the frame of this firearm is the DR number, our department record number, the item number. So the combination of that DR number and the item number is our unique identifier to track that piece of evidence. And then my initials and date.
Sorry, there's yogurt.
Were
PTSD
you
in this.
provided with a couple of casings, 238 and 240?
Yes, I was. And again, when I receive these, when we receive evidence such as this fired casing here, which is 240, we initial and date the day we receive it. So it's here. There's my initials and date from when I resealed it. It's currently hiding up. It's actually right up here at the top where I initial and dated it when I received it.
Okay. And were you also provided with a projectile, if you can look at 235 and 239? And I believe you only had one of those.
That's correct. There's the one bullet I received Right underneath our unique tracking, we barcode everything. It's got our department record number, item number, I initial, and dated it as I received.
And which number was that?
This is item 239.
Thank you. What were you asked to do with these items?
This particular case, I was asked to compare the cartridge cases and the bullet back to the firearm.
And that's the firearm that we see here in Exhibit 77, what we see as 246.
Yes, it is.
All right. So starting with this, what can you tell us about the gun itself? What is the caliber? What is the brand of that?
The firearm is a Springfield Armory XDM 45 caliber semi-automatic pistol.
And so when we talk about 45 caliber, what does that mean?
45 refers to just the size of the bore. In this particular case, it's a 45 auto caliber, so or 45 ACP, common to most 45s made today. But that's actually the measurement of the bore.
Were you able to, when you looked at you told us you often look to see just initially, do these all match together? When you looked at the caliber of those casings that you were given, did they match with the 45 caliber?
The two cartridge cases I received were Fiocchi brand 45 auto caliber cartridge casings.
Okay. Now, what about the projectile, the bullet that you're given? Is there a way for you to determine if that is consistent with a 45 caliber, being fired from a 45 caliber handgun?
Yes, so when we receive a bullet like this, I'm going to go ahead and measure the diameter across the fired bullet to achieve that. And it measured, I don't know the exact number, but it's approximately 0.45 inches.
Okay. Now, when you first were handed the gun, you said you'd make some notes about that. Did you note anything about it as to whether or not the gun appeared to have been previously fired at some point?
The only notes that we take is we do look down the barrel of the gun. When what I'm looking for is mainly safety purposes. I want to make sure there's no obstruction, because if I fire it and there's an obstruction, could be catastrophic failure of the firearm. But I'm also looking at and documenting the rifling. And when we look down a barrel, we can see, I would notate that it's slightly fouled barrel or whatnot, meaning that there's powder particles and or traces of bullets going through the firearm.
So that would mean it was consistent with having been fired at least.
Correct.
So you talked about test firing. Did you test fire this gun?
I did. I test fired this particular firearm into a water tank. I used the water tank because we wanted to collect projectiles for comparison purposes, and the water tank allows us to do that without damaging the bullets.
What kind of ammunition do you use? How do you determine that?
So first and foremost, we would like to use like ammunition. So this was Fiocchi brand ammunition. We hopefully would have some of that in our reference collection. However, I did not, so I would grab the next closest type of ammunition. I believe it was Winchester that I used in this particular case, that has the same exact type of primer, the same exact type of casing, and the same exact type of projectile.
When you talk about the same exact type, are you talking about like the metals, or what are you talking about?
For instance, the bullet in this case is a copper jacketed round nose full metal jacket. So I would look to test fire a copper jacketed full round nose bullet.
Okay. So when you test fired this gun, did you know anything with regards to the functionality of it?
I noted that it functioned as designed. I did test fire this by hand chambering. I didn't try a magazine in there because one wasn't submitted with it, but it operated with no problems.
Okay. How many times did you test fire it?
We collect a minimum of 3. In this particular case, I only did fire it 3 times. That's all that I needed.
And so each time you're having to put a bullet in there and pull the trigger each time.
That's correct.
If you'd had a magazine, would you still have had to pull the trigger each time to fire it?
Yes, it operates still semi-automatic, so the trigger would have to be pulled each time to fire a cartridge case. I just wouldn't have to reload one into the chamber each time.
So once you created these test fire, let's start with cartridges, did you attempt to compare those to the ones you were provided, exhibits 238 and 240?
So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to collect my test fires, and I'm going to compare them to each other. And why I'm doing that is I want to make sure that there's marks on there that reproduce over our test fires. If there's no marks reproducing, how would I be able to compare it to the evidence? From there, once I determine that it's sufficient, and I do photo document all of my comparisons, once I figure it's sufficient for an identification there, I'll go ahead and do a comparison to the unknown evidence and make my opinion based on that comparison.
So the test fires that you have, you look to make sure that those are creating each time the same, both the class characteristics and individual characteristics.
Correct, yes.
And the class being sort of the generic ones that every type of Springfield might create.
Correct, yes.
And these individual ones are characteristics that are specific and unique to this weapon.
Correct. They're from use, abuse, cleaning, anything like that, and the individual manufacturing of each component.
When you compared those 2 cartridge casings, 238 and 240, to the test fires that you created from exhibit 2 46, the handgun, were you able to reach any conclusions?
I was.
And what was your conclusion?
I was able to determine, I identified those cartridge cases as having been fired on that particular firearm based on my comparison of the test fires to that evidence.
So the two cartridge casings, 238 and 240, were fired from the handgun you have up there, 246.
Correct.
You also, when you test fired the gun, did you collect the projectiles, the bullets?
I did. I collected three bullets from our water tank for comparison purposes.
Did you go through the same process of looking at those three to see if they matched up?
I did, yes.
And did they?
They absolutely did, yes.
So again, they had sufficient class characteristics and individual characteristics for you to then proceed to try to identify them or compare them to the unknown bullet.
That's correct.
When you compared Exhibit 239, the projectile that was recovered, to the projectiles that you created when you test fired, were you able to reach any conclusions with regards to this weapon?
I was, like the cartridge cases, I identified the projectile as having been fired from that particular firearm.
So the bullet that you were given, you've identified as having been fired from this Springfield semi-automatic 45 caliber handgun.
That's correct.
Did that end your work in this case?
That ended my analysis from this case. From then, I go ahead and I take all of my notes. The entire process I'm photo documenting. So when I open this up and I was documenting the condition as it's receiving, I'm also taking photos. When I'm doing the comparison, I'm also taking photos of the evidence side by side and any kind of areas of interest that I'm looking at. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and document my opinion and my results on our worksheets. I'm also going to print out all of my photos. I am then going to take all of that evidence and I'm going to hand it to another trained examiner. That other trained examiner, without looking at my results, is going to take all of that evidence and do a comparison himself. And then he'll form his own opinion and then verify that it matches or is similar to my results.
And was that done here?
Yes, it was.
Did that alter in any way your opinion?
Not at all. He was in agreement of my results.
When you talk about the photo, so in your report, you're actually showing all of those characteristics that we've talked about so anyone else could later look at them and see how you reached your conclusion.
The photo documentation it's just a snapshot of one portion of the comparison, but yes, a trained examiner should be able to look at them and understand what exactly I was looking at.
So ultimately, your conclusion was both those cartridge casings and that projectile that you were provided was fired from the gun you were provided.
That's correct.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Cross-examination.
I thought maybe Lori was learning. Darn. Just a couple questions.
Mr. Boberg, when did you receive the request to test this firearm?
It was early March of this year.
So March 2025?
Yes.
And then how long after you received the request did you test the firearm?
I was notified that the request was coming in a couple of days. I received the evidence on a Wednesday, which my week wraps up on Thursday, and I did all of the work on that the following Monday, and the report was put out by Tuesday morning.
Okay, do you know what the date that Tuesday report was put out by?
I don't know the exact date. If you'd like, I can refer to my notes and give you that exact date.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay,
Is that okay?
So the report was authored on March 4th of 2025. The evidence was received in our property and evidence unit on 2/26 of 25, in which I also received them on that 2/26 of 25 and returned them to our evidence room on the 4th of March.
Okay, thank you. And who requested you to do this test on this firearm? Where did your request come from?
This particular request was made from a detective who reached out to me via email explaining could I assist him with a rush. I passed it through my supervisor, who allowed me to contact the detective and have the evidence submitted. And then it was assigned to me because the request was sent directly to me.
Do you know what detective that was?
Detective Duncan.
And then who did you send your report to?
Once I'm finished with my analysis, my report is then reviewed by another examiner and then a supervisor to make sure that it's all technically correct, and then admin, and then they're electronically released to Detective Duncan.
Okay, and then you said you had done some photo documenting. Were those photos attached to this report?
They were attached to all of my case notes, yes.
Okay. So there's a report, case notes, and then the photo documentaries?
It's all part of, yeah, the notes and the photo documentation is all one.
And how long do you think that report was total?
Oh, it's roughly 13 pages total, 13, 14 pages with the actual report.
Okay, thank you. So you fired the firearm 3 times, is that correct?
That's correct.
In your testing?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And then if you were, did you point it all in the same direction when you fired?
When I did my test firing, I was firing into a water tank. The water tank has it's approximately 10-inch thick stainless steel tube with a rest inside of it that I fire it into. So it stays in one place and fires at a specific angle into the water so that I'm not striking anything or being unsafe in any way.
And what's your distance at that point?
Approximately a foot.
Oh, just a foot away into the water tank?
Into the water. Yeah.
Okay. And then did all of the casings go into the exact same place, like close to the same place?
So around the inlet tube that we shoot into, we have a big net that catches the cartridge cases.
So you can't really tell where they land then, I guess, because the net catches them? Is that what you're saying?
It's land as far as they kind of shoot out of the gun and then get caught by the net.
Okay, so they don't land on the ground and roll to the close to each other. Okay. But you kind of got a feel for this gun because you shot it, right?
I did.
So if you were to shoot the gun straight,
I'll give her credit. She's lost her attitude. She doesn't sound like she's just throwing a fit asking these questions. But no, dear, they don't just land on the ground and roll away.
No, I just want to be like, have you ever caught one of those hot cartridges in your shirt? Freaking hurts. No, we
Well,
don't
plus
just let 'em
they're test firing it. Like they're not just willy-nilly out there going,
Yeah,
wherever
I
it
wanted
lands,
to be
that's
like,
fine. We
that's
weren't
what I
trying
wanted to
to
be like. Go ahead.
we weren't trying to like compare these to anything or see anything.
Well, and she's like, was it the same? No, Lori, we didn't shoot your husband while this was happening. You did.
No, she didn't. Her
No,
brother
she
did.
didn't. She just conspired.
She's conspired.
No, we shoot it in a water tank, not at people.
What's that mean?
She's like, I don't know what a water tank is. You made me laugh so freaking hard earlier when you're like, Indy 500.
Gabby, that's 100% right. Just because you guys can aim doesn't mean you should brag about it.
Whenever he was like, oh yeah, we looked down the barrel, I just want to be like, I don't need anything in there.
So you're gonna get me in trouble.
Sorry. Don't do that. That's not the way to do it.
No, don't do that. What? You didn't take
Don't
it
do that.
to Uncle Goober's farm and blink cans with it? Nope, didn't do that either. I mean,
he's on screen, but they're like, ding, ding, ding. We did it.
all right.
and then move 40 degrees to the right and shoot it again, do you think that the casings would end up in the same area?
Objection as to speculation without foundation of.
He shot the gun, Your Honor. I was asking his opinion.
Hold on. He can answer if first of all, if he understands the question.
If I may clarify.
Sure.
So you're asking if I point a weapon, say this way, and then turn this way.
Correct.
Okay. I can't answer that.
Go ahead.
I would expect the cartridge case to be slightly different from the very first one, but not much, depending on what interacts with it in its flight path. Did it bounce off of something? What's the floor type? What is, or whatever it hits first? I couldn't say without knowing any of that.
Okay. So would it be safe to say that the casings would end up in the same place if you didn't move and you fired 2 shots? They should end up close to the same location.
Again, it really depends on what is around, because typically when a semi-automatic firearm is fired, the slide comes back and the cartridge case ejects up and to the right. So if you moved slightly, you're changing that angle slightly. So it could be slightly different. It could be in the same location depending on how they bounce and roll.
Okay. So if you fired the gun and and the casing ricocheted off the wall, but then you move the gun and fired it again somewhere else, it could miss the ricocheting of the wall altogether, right?
Again, without knowing the scene, I couldn't say.
Okay. So in your report, I don't want to simplify it because I know that you are a scientist, but is it basically saying that this gun, that those casings came from this particular gun?
My exact wording would be very similar to that. It would say items, whatever the unique identifier is, were identified as having been fired from item, which is the gun.
Okay. This particular gun, correct?
Correct.
And then you would say that those projectiles also came from this particular gun. Is that correct? Okay. And then, and this testing was done this year on March 4th, is that correct?
March
Right.
4th is my report date, meaning all of the analysis is completed and it is done. At that point, my analysis was actually conducted on the 3rd.
Okay. Okay, no more questions, thank you.
Redirect.
Which side did the casings eject from on this Springfield?
On this particular Springfield, the ejection port is angled to the right and up.
So in order well, let me ask you this. When casings are ejected and you're not attempting to move your arm or the gun, do they always land right in the exact same spot?
They do not.
Do they bounce and roll?
They do. Again, it's a very violent action. That slide is moving very quickly. A lot of times the cartridge case is spitting, so they could tumble through the air and again, bounce off of anything such as the floor, walls, anything around.
So even as each time you pull the trigger, if you're trying your hardest to keep it as still as you can, does that mean the casings will land exactly right next to each other?
No, they won't.
Where the casings land, does that depend on multiple factors?
Absolutely.
So the type of flooring or ground would be one thing.
Any kind of intervening objects, type of flooring, if it lands on grass, it's probably going to stick or stop, or if it lands in carpet or tile, wood, all bounces differently.
If it bounces off a wall, that would impact where it might land.
Yes.
So having fired guns multiple times, semi-automatics, at your best in trying to keep them together, are they maybe grouped in a general area together?
Typically, when we're firing multiple rounds repeatedly, they tend to generally land in like kind of a pool area. It's not small, but it is a generalized area.
And in a situation where a gun may be slightly moved, that cantering of a gun, can that change the location of the casing itself?
Absolutely. I mean, it's designed as it's designed, it will eject up and to the right. So, I mean, if you turn it this way, it's up. Could change dramatically, however you're angling it or turning it.
When you are talking about casings and where they land, even if you go and see them, are you able to look at them and say that was from shot number 1 or that was from shot number 2?
Oh no, we just generalize an area of where a shooter might have been.
And again, that's just because they're landing at best in a pool area, even if you're trying to shoot as straight and uniform as you can.
That's correct.
I have no other questions, Robert.
All right. Any questions for this witness from any member of the jury? I see at least one coming down.
Daddy Short Nuts, maybe she was thinking this should have been husband number 7 or 6. He could have solved all my problems and got rid of the evidence.
I feel like a lot of these questions we could have just asked Lori from her previous stuff. They didn't have to pay for this guy. Could have just asked her.
She could have been like, I time traveled. And this is what happened. Swear on it. I talked to Ned. We've worked everything out. He's not a demon anymore. He's Oakley.
All right, I have a question from a juror. Where would the casings go if the gun was held sideways?
Just for clarification, sideways either way.
Why don't you tell us for either way?
So if I was to cant it sideways and the butt was down, it could potentially go up and fall to the left side because of the way the gravity would be. However, if you turn it this way, it's angling it further down. And again, it depends on how it hits the ground, what it can bounce off of.
All right, any other juror questions? Not seeing any.
What if it was completely
follow
turned
up from the
upside
defense based
down?
on the
Then what
question?
happens?
State?
No, yeah.
All right, sir, you can step down. Thank you. State can call its next witness.
What is Boys in the Hood for 100,
Right?
Alex?
That's right, super baby.
Don't laugh.
She said, "Ugh."
It depends on how gangster one is. I never expected that to be a question from the jury. What if Alex was approaching him?
That juror's like, well, where I come from, it's like this.
Oh, goodness.
All right, come on right up here in front and be sworn in.
Snoop is on the jury. East side. What if he's west side? What if he's south side? You never hear north side.
I can only tell you about the east side. Exactly, Gabby.
For east side, south side. I've never heard north side. North side.
That's because they're like, I'm north side. That's so stupid.
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Cassandra Anglon. I'm a detective with the Chandler
a lot
Police Department
happier,
in our robbery homicide unit.
Can you tell us about your career with the Chandler Police Department?
So next week, I will have 24 years at the department. Started in patrol, graduated through the Phoenix Police Academy. I have no prior, all my experiences with Chandler. Started in patrol, I worked there a couple years and then was selected to move into a newer unit they created, which was more of a general investigations unit. Worked assaults, burglaries, thefts, kind of entry-level detective type cases. We had a reorganization I'd been in that unit about a year and a half, and that unit morphed into our family violence unit. So at that point, my cases became primarily physical child abuse cases, some missing person type cases, and then the majority was domestic violence, assaults, aggravated assaults, things like that.
Hey, it's a legit question. You never hear north side.
Well, did you see what Jess said? It's normally North Shore, but she's
North
right. She's right.
Hey, Jess, I didn't see you. I'm sorry. It's good to see
And
you.
Bride, don't say happy anniversary, detective. She's still got one more week to go. A lot happens in a week.
Yeah. Well, at least she's not retiring.
You never know. Thursday could come up and she's like, I'm tired of this. I'm going to North Shore.
So I think in the motions they were discussing, this was the detective that if she gets to where she wants to talk about why her and Alex weren't arrested that day, that she's like has to tell the judge she wants a break. Or nothing at all happens. True. True. Ah. I can't. There it is. Yeah, but Northy and Southie, that's not scary. What are you? I'm a Northie.
I'm Northie. And then this one's over here like, I'm Southie.
I'm a Southie.
I'm going to get hexed
Y'all.
now.
April snow hex coming in.
If I get snow, I swear.
If you get snow, we'll know it worked.
I know. It's freaking 90 degrees here today.
It's 70 here. It's 66 now.
What's
You need
it
it in a
look like?
Boston accent? Oh, well, I don't have one of those.
Well, you got to say it like
A
I'm trying to
Northie?
think.
I don't even know how to do it. All right. I can't
No.
do it. Shut up, Gabby. You bastard, I'm a Southie. All right, that's it.
You tried so hard. Just press play.
Okay.
Worked in that unit for a couple years and then moved into our narcotics and organized crime unit and worked in that unit for about 5 years, doing primarily large scale narcotics investigations. In September of 2009,
How can that be wrong? That was perfect. That was perfect. You can come around.
Can't breathe.
Carmen's on here. You bastard. Bastard.
Yep. You bass bastard. You're Northy and you're a bass bastard.
Shut up. I do know.
You do know? I do know words.
Don't worry, I'm not handing her off to strangers.
Who's that? A stranger?
Stranger danger. Carmen, one life, one summer.
Yeah, one life, one summer.
See?
What's up, Squirmy Wormy?
What's up?
She said, what's up? What's up? That's what she said.
What's up?
Okay.
All right.
Oh, Proctor wouldn't look for my nudes. I'm so... Dang
Aw.
it. That makes me sad. Oh, no.
Bye, super baby.
You're going to Dunkies, you bastard. Super baby's first word's gonna be bastards.
If she,
Her
I'm
mom
not
said,
joking.
better not be.
I'm not joking. If I'm there in June and she's talking and she just looks at me and she goes, bastard, I will be so proud of her and I will laugh.
What'd you say, Carmen? Because Bree was talking to me.
I said, when I'm there in June, if she's talking and she just looks at me dead in the eyes and goes, bastard, I will be so proud of her.
Well, you might laugh and I might laugh. Bree will not.
Yes, you will.
She won't. All right, I'll be gonna hit play. I'll be right back.
I was selected and moved into our robbery and homicide unit, and I've been in that unit since September of 2009, where I am now.
As part of your job, are you called out to respond to scenes?
Yes.
And what are your normal working hours?
So we work 4/10s, so 4 10-hour shifts a week. There are 6 people in our unit. So I am one of the 3 that works Tuesday to Fridays, and then the other half of our unit works Monday to Thursdays. But there is one detective in our unit that's on call all the time. And then depending on the scale of the case, the on-call is responsible for being available to come in off hours. But depending on the scale of the case, they'll call in additional detectives to help, sometimes supplementing from other units within the department, depending on the case.
Were you working on Thursday, July 11th of 2019?
I was.
And where were you located? Where's your office?
So my office is at our main precinct, which is in downtown Chandler. But that day I was not in the office. I was driving to kind of a community event that was in West Chandler.
Were you asked to respond to a scene at 5531 South Four Peaks Place in Chandler, Maricopa County, Arizona?
I was.
Why were you asked to respond to that house?
So I had initially heard some radio traffic about a potential shooting that had happened there. And then, so I was aware of the call for service that was going on that patrol had responded to. And then I was contacted by my supervisor shortly thereafter by phone because I wasn't in the station. And they had asked that myself and several detectives respond down to assume that investigation from patrol.
Do you recall approximately when you arrived at that house?
I believe it was right around 9:28, 9:30 is my arrival time on CAD, but it would have been within a couple minutes of that, depending on how significant the radio traffic was that I could get out onto the radio.
In 2019, as a detective, did you have body-worn camera assigned to you?
We did not.
So you were not wearing a body cam unit at that time.
No, we did not get ours issued until I believe a couple years later.
Can you describe for us the crime scene when you arrived?
So when I arrived in the neighborhood, it's a gated community. I arrived on the north side of where the residence was. Marked patrol units and uniformed patrol officers were there. There was already yellow crime scene about a house or two north and a house or two south. And I could see several of the initial patrol officers that had responded that were present when I got there.
When you got there, was the fire engine still there?
I believe they were, but there was what we call our care unit. Our CR-288 is the crisis unit. They're a fire personnel, but they respond out to our scenes at our request as well.
Okay, and so that was there.
Correct.
Did you observe any individuals that you learned to be the shooter at the scene?
I did. Alex Cox.
Can you describe where you saw him?
So when I approached the house, I was walking south towards the house. He was seated on a curb. I remember there being like a trash can or something right there. And Officer Krautheim was outside. And I remember seeing him sitting there as I walked past up to a supervisor at the scene.
And can you describe for us the demeanor of Alex Cox when you went by him?
He was sitting on the curb, didn't really appear, just kind of normal, wasn't really agitated or upset. He had what looked like, I think it was a paper towel or Kleenex in his hand. And at one point he reached back and kind of touched the back of his head, but he was just seated, just kind of sitting there.
Did you observe yourself any injuries at that time to his head?
I did not. I didn't have contact with him at the scene at all.
Okay. When you arrive at a scene like that as a detective, what's sort of the process of what does everyone do when you get there?
So initially what we try is that the first one or two investigative type personnel usually will make immediate contact with the supervisor on scene, usually a sergeant or a lieutenant, and try to just kind of do a quick assessment or triage of what's going on. What is kind of the quick initial what happened? Is anybody outstanding? What are kind of the things we need to do? Because then as personnel from like my unit and other investigative units arrive, we can start assigning tasks and roles. We always, by practice, assign a case agent, and then a scene agent is separate. And then any other personnel that get there start assigning tasks, what needs to be done, what needs to happen.
So what is the roles of a detective versus the patrol officers who've been there?
So patrol officers are going to be your first responders. They are going to be the ones that dispatch when you call 911 or the non-emergency number. Patrol is going to come to your house first. They're the uniformed in a marked patrol car. They're going to respond out and do the initial investigation, initial scene safety, initial first aid until it's safe for fire to get there. They're going to be your initial first responders. If the call or event or incident that they're responding to is going to be more significant or more serious, or maybe needs more specialized equipment or investigation, or potentially they might need a search warrant, then you're going to see where detectives are going to get called out to assume an investigation from patrol. So there will be some overlap. And then once we come out and kind of take the investigation over, patrol then gets released from the event, and it will become kind of property of the detectives that come out to assume the case.
Do you have patrol officers still helping things like securing the scene and making sure that, no one is just running up into the house or something?
Absolutely.
While you were on scene, did you notice any other civilians kind of waiting around?
Yes.
Who did you notice?
At one point, I realized that where Officer Krautheim was standing, basically across from the house, it was within the crime scene, that an adult female, Lori Vallow, and then her daughter, Tylee, had at some point got there. I'm not sure exactly when, but I realized that they were standing in the vicinity of Officer Krautheim within the crime scene near a red car.
Did you see the interaction between Officer Krautheim and these two, Lori Vallow and Tylee?
I did, from across the street.
When you saw that interaction, did you know who they were at that point?
I did not know who they were. I found out a short time later.
So did Officer Krautheim advise you and other detectives who they were?
Yes,
So you said the female was Lori Vallow.
correct.
Do you see her in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you point her out and identify what she's wearing?
She's seated at the defense table wearing like a navy blue blazer.
Trying to make the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant.
It shall.
Can you describe Lori Vallow's demeanor when you saw her across the street there?
So she was standing, the car they were near was parked along the curb, and she was standing basically in front of the parked car. And Tylee was standing next to her, just kind of appeared to be having this kind of ordinary interaction with Officer Krautheim, just kind of talking to him, didn't seem real animated or emotional. Just seemed very kind of ordinary and kind of nonchalant.
Were any police cars visible at the crime scene?
Yes,
And so there's yellow crime scene tape up.
correct.
So when Officer Krautheim came over, did he talk to you and some other detectives?
He did.
And did he advise you about his interaction with Ms. Vallow and Tylee?
He didn't talk to me about their interaction. He just more identified who they were.
Okay.
And at that point, we had some discussion about kind of additional rules that had just developed.
So at some time while you're sitting there and you're standing around talking with sergeants and whatnot, is that when you learned who you believe to be the shooter, Alex Cox, was?
Yes,
And at some time while you are again getting these updates, did you learn who the deceased male was inside the residence?
correct.
And who was that?
That was Charles Vallow.
During this time, did it become known to you the relationship between Lori Vallow and Alex Cox?
Correct. They were brother, sister.
And during this time, did you become aware of the relationship between Ms. Vallow and Charles Vallow?
Correct. Husband, wife.
After you, or I guess during the time when you were speaking with these officers, were you updated by Officer Krautheim about whether or not Lori Vallow knew her husband was dead?
No, I had talked to my sergeant actually about speaking with her specifically about doing what we refer to as a death notification.
Well, let me go back. So did you believe that Lori Vallow knew her husband was dead?
I did not.
You thought she had no idea?
I didn't think she knew because she wasn't there when I got there.
Had you been advised that by Officer Krautheim or his sergeant relating to information he had received from Alex Cox that she was not present?
I didn't believe that she was present at the time the incident occurred prior to me speaking with her.
Okay. And that was based upon information that you had obtained from briefings?
Correct.
Okay. Since you thought that Lori Vallow did not know her husband was deceased, what did you do?
So I had a brief discussion with my sergeant and we agreed that it would be the right thing to do a death notification to her. She is legally his wife. They are married. She would be his legal next of kin.
Don't worry, I saw it all.
Oh my gosh.
I have mom eyes, mom hearing. I saw it all.
I tried real hard.
Sure you did.
That's what she said.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're just sitting here talking about it on the wall and countertops. But I'll be right back. I have to use the restroom.
It's a little lawyer's room. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I have to use the little lawyer's room.
Okay. You have to use judges. I have to use the judge's chambers.
I have to use the judge's chambers. I don't know why the voices are there. They're just, it's just hard.
Okay, bye-bye now. I know you know I did. I'll allow that. Ugh. Yes, Indy 500. It was a dumb joke. This is a good Christian channel. Thank you for coming in and saving me. I was busy. I was saying bye to my granddaughter and my daughter-in-law. No. Baker, we have an April snow hex has been placed upon my chat because they made somebody mad. I was trying to make the hex weaker and weaker. Ah. She's not even gonna know what to do with that. Okay. You have to go drain the defendant. Sorry, Flash fan. Sorry. You know, little lawyer's room, judge's chambers. I don't know. All right. I hear this woman is condescending to some daddy short nuts.
Standing basically in the crime scene, and I think professionally it's in delaying letting someone know that their loved one is deceased isn't appropriate. So we made a decision at that point to contact her to do an actual death notification, so it was clear that he was deceased.
So because she's there at the scene, do you just walk up to her while she's standing right there in front of the car to notify her? How do you do that?
No, so her and Tylee were now seated within the care unit that I had mentioned, our CR 288. They have a van, and we utilize it a lot. So they were seated within that van. I had approached the van with my sergeant, and my intention was to try to get her to come out of the van because Tylee was in there with her, so I could have a discussion with her outside of the view of any children. When I made contact with her, we ended up having the conversation with her in the van with Tylee.
So
I don't know why you called Gabby the devil, because that was my daughter. That was my daughter on screen. Yes, Gabby was last week with her brown eye. Brown eye. Eyes, whatever. Maybe some people have two. I don't know. But nope, that's Carmen, not Gabby. Oh
Oh
no.
no, I'm Gabby. You bastard. I am Gabby.
Oh yes, I'm not putting that up there, Gabby. Now she's gonna brag about her van. Our brown-eyed girl.
It's just a brown-eyed girl.
I saw.
You want to know what's funny?
Sure. I don't know.
Well, you see the color of this. There's a Cheyennes.
Well, duh.
It says
Face the rainbow.
Plumbing.
Hope's Plumbing.
Fitting.
Huh.
Hope's Plumbing is all your plumbing needs.
Huh. I'm gonna leave that one alone. When I went to the grocery store today, there was a white creeper van parked weirdly in the parking lot, like across 3 spaces, you know, by the laundromat where the grocery store parking lot and the laundromat kind of meet. And I usually park over there, and I heard Carmen in my head going, "We don't park by white creeper vans." I was like, duh. Obviously, because there's one person in the creeper van and I can't see the other person. And they was still out there in the parking lot when I came out later. And I'm like, you were putting groceries in the back of your creeper van when I walked into the store.
You never park by a white creeper van, and you never park by a van that has a sliding door on the side, because they can just whoop.
Yep, I know.
And you're gone.
I would never do that. I don't like when I'm parked and then one parks by me.
Yeah, especially in Texas.
Especially anywhere. Did it have Connecticut plates? This is... There's no one creepy on this channel. I don't know, right? I was too busy looking at the van.
I don't know. But they're like,
I should have looked at the plates, but I don't think it's because we don't have front plates in Indiana, so I don't think it had one. And they had a front plate, and I wasn't going around the back. The door was open.
I would have. I'd been like, "What do you got in there?"
They would have said,
I'd be like,
"You."
"Yeah." They'd be like, "Candy." I'd be like, "Ugh."
See?
They'd be like, "Puppies." I'd be like, "Yeah."
I'm not the only one. See? I just was like,
No,
good
you
for
gotta
me.
you gotta be careful about that. Another thing that's actually been going around lately, is tying something to the driver's side door, like a ribbon.
I have never seen that. I've read that a gazillion times.
No, that no, they used to put dollar bills right there, but actually, what really has been going on lately in like Laredo, um, Eagle Pass, I can't remember the other one, but I know like, and then also in Southwest Houston, it's tying like a ribbon to your door handle or putting something on your windshield, and all of a sudden, boom, you're gone. But they can tag your vehicle, that you're getting. Do you have a child there? I told you the scary one that I had was that thing that got stuck up underneath my mirror. Like the QR code thing or whatever that was. That was creepy.
Flashman, Indiana has such a bad history with things and groups that involve not hood neighborhoods that I won't make a comment about.
Hey, Indiana has a hood because trust me, Cheyenne and I used to live there.
Oh,
That's called
Indianapolis
East.
for sure has a hood, but
Indianapolis definitely has a hood.
lots of people around here used to run around in them. So way back in the day,
Yeah.
or in snow. I'm just
I don't know. Cheyenne is from the hood.
Carmen has lived there. Flashbang.
I have lived there. I mean, it was
Was
people
not the
getting.
North. I did not. My car would always take
No.
me a weird way to Cheyenne's house, and Carmen would be like, "Where are you?" I was like, "I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm scared."
I'm scared. Like, no,
I'm
that
not
was
stopping. I'm not
like,
stopping for anyone or anything.
we would find casings and stuff in the side of our house. We had somebody get unalived. Like, actually, our neighbor's grandson got unalived in Cheyenne's yard. It
Yeah,
was
it
crazy.
wasn't good,
It
Flashman.
was no, about as hood could get.
Except
You
for
weren't even.
if you turned right to go to Cheyenne's house, that was like I didn't feel unsafe there. If you would have turned left on that off that main road,
Yeah, don't go that way.
Nobody should go that way.
Nope. That is drug dealer central, and no, don't go that
Yes.
way.
I was like, hey, where'd all the corn go?
This is a new one for you, Gabby. You ever been corny?
Say no. You've never been. I grew up part of my life in Nebraska, and I had never heard of that term until I moved to this state. I was like, what the heck is that?
You yelled at me when I went corny.
Yes.
And you grounded me.
Well, you deserved it.
It wasn't that bad.
Basically, it's done in the fall. You take corn out of the field so it's hard, and you throw it at cars, unsuspecting cars as they're driving by at night.
I paid for the damages.
And it scares the crap out of them. Also, not good for the car. But all right, we got to keep going.
The only time that it was bad, but Brandon and I paid for it.
Yes, because nobody should have ever. Whatever.
We should have stuck to those little what are they called, like pop rockets? You throw them down and then pop. That's what we should have stuck to. Those don't cause any damage.
Flashman used to go fruiting.
We'll keep it going.
Oh, maybe that'll cheer you up, Flashman.
Flashman, I'm not laughing at you. That's just freaking funny. I went fruiting once and I never came back. City bus. No, but I've been cat tipping.
City bus is like, ouch.
Ouch.
That hurt.
And that,
You bastard. I can't even do it. I just can't.
I was gonna say it's like a city rat underneath it. It's like, bastard. Ow. Give me a pizza.
I was hiding under that thing.
I was hiding over there. Give me your car keys and your pizza.
That's not nice. Throwing oranges at my window. Jeez, I hope they were peeled and sectioned. Freaking whole
You're
orange.
such a nice person. I'm sorry. I hope they were peeled and sectioned.
Well, you throw a whole orange at somebody's window and it's done. It's going through.
Oh my gosh. I wish I had the soul you did. It's so pure.
Sure.
It is, though. Just. I'm sitting here going corny. I gotta go pay for stuff because I did damage. And you're just over here. I hope they were peeled and sectioned. Just Oh goodness.
I'm hitting play. We're going back to
It's probably go back to Lori.
Let's go back to condescending.
Yeah, let's make us feel better about ourselves.
Okay. And Vans.
Or at least me.
Let me ask this. What was her demeanor when you see her in this van?
Pretty much the same as her demeanor before. Not real emotional. She was pretty calm. Didn't seem overly affected.
I think you had used nonchalant previously.
Yeah, it's a good word to describe it.
So how did that notification go down? Were you able to tell her what happened?
So opened the van. I made contact with her. I think at some point I asked her something to the effect that if she would step out of the van to talk to me. And at that point she said that she already knew because she was there, which was kind of a surprise. I wasn't necessarily expecting that. And at that point, I confirmed with her that he had died and he was deceased, and quickly kind of conferred with my sergeant away that at this point her and Tylee are now witnesses to the event and they need to be interviewed, obviously.
Good choice, Flash fan.
So it's normal for detectives.
Someone likes a quitter, Flash fan.
Yes.
And you have made death notifications in other cases?
Unfortunately, yes.
And so in this case, you yourself was the one surprised to learn that you didn't have to give her a death notification.
I was.
Did her demeanor change at all when she's telling you that she was there and knew he was dead?
No.
So at this point, now that you know that it's not just a death notification, she now may have relevant information, what happens at that point?
I had made a request of her that we would like to obviously talk to her, and if I could transport them back to the police station. If possible, we like to do the interviews in a more contained environment, obviously one that we can record and one that's not in the middle of a crime scene. So I had asked if her and Tylee would come back to the police station with me, and I ultimately ended up driving both of them back to the police station.
Okay. Is there
I was wondering, Daddy Shortness cross country.
I did. I took them to what's referred to as our FAC, which is our Family Advocacy Center.
What's the difference between the FAC and maybe what people have seen on TV of just like the cold room with a table and two chairs?
So the Family Advocacy Center is a separate part of the police department. It actually has a separate entrance, and it's designed specifically for like victims of crime. We do forensic interviews of children there. There are not uniformed officers that work within that area. It's designed specifically for like victims of crime. We do use it sometimes, obviously, for witnesses. There will never be like in custody and custodial like suspect interviews or anything in there. It's a separate section of the police department that's kind of an entity on its own.
So when you're going to interview Lori Vallow, do you have any concept sort of what she saw, what her involvement is at that point?
No,
So when you said you drove her and Tylee to the police station?
I did.
So they left their car at the scene.
They did. They came with me in my city vehicle.
Can you describe Lori's demeanor as you're driving her to the police station?
So well, obviously I drove. She was in the front passenger seat. Tylee was seated behind her. The majority of the drive, we were actually talking about Tylee. It's a little bit awkward because you're trying not to talk about anything that happened until you can get to the police station. So you're trying to kind of make this strange small talk almost. But we were talking primarily about Tylee and her schooling and such. But we were driving and she was just kind of chattering along as we were driving.
Did she seem stressed at all while she's talking to you?
Not really.
Did she, was she crying or emotional at all while you're driving?
No.
No, she's like, I've been through this before.
While
Why
you
would I
were
be?
Before you left in the car,
Allegedly.
did she ever try to ask you any questions about how her brother was doing or what's going on with her husband or anything like that?
Not of me, no.
When you got her to the police station, well, how long did that take approximately?
It's probably a 20-minute drive from the house to where the station is, about,
Was she chatting away the whole time?
for the majority of it.
We pause it real quick.
When you get to the police station, do you separate Lori and her daughter Tylee?
I did.
So,
You want
Gabby,
this one?
yeah. So tomorrow, April 15th, is actually Purple Up Day. So it's where recognize like military children, military wives and stuff. But law enforcement, a lot of times they'll do Purple Up Week. So that's why. I know that question keeps coming up, so I just want to answer it.
And also, it deflects.
And it deflects the sun. So it's Purple Up Week, military families, kids, wives, and it deflects the sun. So I don't know if, I mean, I guess I should be up there testifying as a scientist.
Well, okay then.
And was that interview audio and video recorded?
It was.
Was she free to leave at any time?
Yes.
Did you know if she had a cell phone with her when you were interviewing her?
I don't believe, well, she did, she had a phone with her at one point, but she wasn't on it or doing anything.
Did she provide you with a cell phone number when you were talking to her?
In the initial part of the interview, yes. The initial part of the interview is biographical name, date of birth, phone number, address, that type of thing.
Did you ever ask to look at her cell phone?
I did not.
Did she ever offer to show you her cell phone?
She did not.
Did you know at that point, well, let me ask you, had you been inside the scene at that point, inside the house?
So I did not go in the house until later. Prior to me coming back to the scene later, I was never inside the house.
So at that point, when you are first meeting with Lori, driving her there, did you know if she had Charles Vallow's cell phone with her?
I did not know.
Did you sort of assume that Charles Vallow's cell phone would have been at the scene with him?
I did assume that, yes.
So I want to start with, you told us that you asked some basic biographical information. And Your Honor, if I can have my paralegal approach with Exhibit 186.
Go ahead.
Daddy Short Nuts, you didn't do it. You didn't. Oh, no. Do you know how traumatized we all are about Grimace? And finding out he was a taste bud. A taste
Wait,
bud.
what?
Grimace is a taste bud.
Ew. See, this
You're
is
not
why I don't
around?
like. No, I know who Grimace is. I didn't know he was a taste bud.
No, were you not around that stream? We had a whole thing about McDonald's.
No, I was not. No, I know what you're talking about, but that's when I worked like like 4, 16, 18 hours in a row.
Gabby was traumatized the most.
I'm sure. She always talks about Mr. Grimace.
Yes, we learned that day that he was a taste bud. Oh, I'm very careful just for that particular reason, Baker. I, although lately, I just deleted a bunch of pictures of Eileen Warnos off of there, so it
Oh
looked
my
like I
gosh.
was
If
really
you looked
in
at my
love with
phone,
her. I don't.
you would. It's
I don't think
bad.
I don't have any. I don't really have any pictures right now of any serial unalivers, except
I
maybe
do.
Lori.
I have a whole file on there.
Yeah, I'm very careful because I know how that stuff can be used against you. I don't
Because
want to find out what Ronald really is because I don't. I will not. I will not. Carmen's
I
looking it up right now, and then
have to. I
she
have.
will.
I've
And
never
then,
heard that.
see, then she'll tell me if I should look at it or not.
Yeah, look it up.
Okay, he said not to.
That's not that bad.
You only use burner phones now. They'll use that against you too, Bri. Ronald, no, no.
What is it that we used to watch? It was like Ronald Gosh dang McDonald.
The guy that said he had Tourette's.
Oh yeah, that guy. What'd you like for dinner? Bacon and eggs, dear. What? For blank sakes, I said bacon and eggs. That guy.
Yes. And he didn't say McGosh dang.
Well, my favorite part is, hi, I purchased your Colgate toothpaste, the one with tartar control, and it made me feel like a piece of shit.
All right, I'm looking up. What am I?
It's not bad. It's not bad.
I'm scared.
It's not bad.
Why is there say I typed in Roman war helmet and then right underneath it is Roman war helmet dirty?
Pick the dirty one.
No.
Why?
I didn't pick the dirty one.
Oh, it's so funny though. Click it.
No. I just had Roman war helmets come up. I did not click the dirty one. All right, I clicked it. But apparently my internet will not allow it.
What?
The same things came up.
Dumb.
You knew a
It's
snail.
funny. It's funny that you say that because so since Shane's going like for her PhD for sexology, we had to call Optimum and turn all that stuff off so she could be able to look at certain things.
Well, yeah, she looks okay. I'll get off of that browser and go to Google.
I don't even remember what it was called. She showed me something the other day. I looked at her and I was like, don't do that. Like, I don't remember what it was. It was some. See? Freaking funny.
Google's like, here it is. My other browser is like, no.
No, we are a good Christian channel. Google's like, no, we're not.
Oh my gosh, Baker.
Meanwhile, I was like, children. Don't do that. Freaking funny. I told you it was worth it.
No, I don't have any parental controls on. Just apparently my phone knows me too well. Like,
Because we're a good Christian channel. We only get 7 Hail Marys every 10 seconds.
and Google's like, hey, watch this.
Google's like, I don't give up.
April snow's coming in a while. April snow is coming.
Those are coming. I can see the clouds rolling in now. Texas is about to get it, and so is Indiana.
I can't help it. It's over. It's a blizzard.
Yeah,
Might even go into May. I don't know. It's so
I don't
bad.
know. I'm gonna get there and thinking that I'm gonna like relax in a pool. Nope. Blizzard.
Blizzard. Probably in July, June. It's gonna be a cold summer.
It's gonna
We
be
keep this
cold.
up.
So
Just
you
telling
want to
y'all.
hear? This is really bad, but do you want to hear what we you know what summer tooth means?
Summer what?
Summer tooth or
Summer tooth?
summer
Summer
teeth
teeth?
means. Yeah, like
Like
summer, like the
summer
season.
teeth and summer not?
No, summer there and summer not.
That's close.
I was told to stop saying that at work, but
Probably should.
in the wild, that stayed. If you ever hear the Department of Homeland Security say in the wild, you're welcome. Some are here, some are there.
See, Baker. Oh, my dogs are gonna bark now. I'll be back.
You're gonna leave me by okay, there you go.
Have you watched that CD, Exhibit 186, previously?
286 is admitted.
Did Lori Vallow ever call 911?
She did not.
Yeah, never mind. Do you know who called 911?
I believe Alex Cox called 911.
We've discussed that she had multiple cell phones, correct?
Correct.
And so did you later learn that she also had Charles Vallow's cell phone?
I did.
So she has at least 2 cell phones with her, but she did not call 911.
That's correct.
After you interviewed Lori, did you have to get her and Tylee back to where the car was?
I did, yes.
Did you and someone else drive her, Tylee, and Alex Cox back?
Myself and at the time Detective, but now Lieutenant Moffat did.
So can you tell us about that?
So the interviews were concluded and we were going to get them back to the house. The search warrant was still ongoing at the house, but to get them back to get vehicles, they weren't in custody. So I obtained our victim services has a minivan because it just holds a lot of people. And we use the minivan to take everyone back to the scene instead of driving 2 different cars with people. So I drove and Detective Moffat sat in the very back. Tylee was sitting up front with me and Lori and Alex were behind me.
What was Lori's demeanor in the car with her brother and you and Moffat?
She was unaffected, not emotional. The best description I can give is that she chattered the whole way, basically back to the house. Not upset, almost not happy, but just really unaffected by everything that was going on. It was kind of striking.
Is there any acknowledgement about what had happened?
No.
Basically just talking like it was any other day?
That's a good description, yes.
Did you ever hear her talk about or say anything like, oh, I need to let Charles Vallow's sons know that he's dead?
No, not specifically. She had referenced at one point, like calling people, but not that she needed to like do additional like death notification.
When you got back to the 5531 South Four Peaks place, did you see Lori, Alex, and Tylee leave in that red Kia SUV?
They did. They left in the rental car.
Okay. What did you do initially after that?
So that was the first time that I came into the house. I came just into basically the threshold first part of that room. Detective Coons and Detective Duncan were finishing the search warrant, and they were talking about some of the things that they had found. And there was some initial kind of discussion between us, and then I ultimately left because I had a different case to go work on. So I left to go do something else.
Did you go back to the police station?
I did.
Around 2 or so, did you get a call to see if you could help find Lori or Alex to come back to the house?
Yes. The detectives that were at the scene that were done doing, they were finishing the scene investigation. They were wondering if I could try to get in touch with Lori or Alex to try to get them to come back to the scene because their intention was to try to do a walkthrough and some additional investigation. So I made a couple phone calls to the number that Lori had provided to me.
So you made more than one call to that 808 number.
I believe two.
Did you leave a message?
I left a message, yes.
Okay. After you had called and tried to reach her, what did you do?
I ended up going back to the scene very briefly while they were finishing. And at that point, Alex had come back to the scene. Lori and Tylee were present with that red rental car again. And I was outside, and the other detectives were inside finishing up crime scene work.
Did you ever learn from Detective Coons or Duncan that they had searched the house and they couldn't find Charles's cell phone?
When I went back the second time, the detectives on scene, Coons and Duncan, had said that they couldn't find his phone.
And you had interviewed Lori, so you knew that at some point she'd had it, right?
Correct.
And she had, in fact, told you multiple times that she had refused to give it back to Charles, right?
That's correct.
But you had never asked her, do you still have it?
I did not.
So you're at the house, you see Lori and Tylee. Did you go ask her about it?
I did.
So can you tell us about that?
I walked up to where the vehicle had pulled up. Tylee was actually still inside the car, and I asked them if they knew where Charles's phone was. And at that point, they volunteered that they had the phone. I believe Tylee pulled it out of the cup holder to hand to me. And I asked them if they knew what the passcode to the phone was, and both of them were able to give me the passcode, and I took custody of the phone from them.
Did Lori tell you anything about where she found the phone?
I think she said that she found the phone in the car.
When you were asking her about her
And we're
now
caught up
deceased
live.
husband's phone
Now we're
that she
slow.
found in the car, what is
Don't
her demeanor
worry,
like when
we're
she's
pretty
interacting with you
entertaining.
again here?
It's the same that it's been the whole time. Pretty
Course.
calm and kind of unaffected by what's going on.
Did it seem odd to you that she said that she found that inside his car when she was talking to you about having it in her hands and refusing to give it to Charles?
It struck me as a little odd, yes.
So they give you the phone and you said that you were able to get the passcode or PIN for it. Did Lori say she knew it as well?
Lori and Tylee.
And what was the passcode?
I believe it was all zeros.
Okay. Did you ever check to see if that would open the phone?
I did not.
Did you later give Charles's phone to be given to Detective McDonald?
I did.
I hope you're right, Flash fan.
Approach with 245. Do you remember or recognize what Exhibit 245 is?
I do.
And what is that?
So this is evidence item 131035-1, and it's a cell phone in a black case. And then it's kind of common practice, the passcode's on a sticky on the phone.
Is that the phone that was given to you by Tylee with Lori there?
I believe so, yes.
Did you provide that to Officer Allness to then give it to a Detective McDonald?
So Sergeant Ulness, at the time of this, was the sergeant over our computer crime section, which is where Detective McDonald worked. And it's common practice for us to turn over items to them so they can do exams.
And does that phone have the number for this case and other information to indicate to you that it is the phone that you got from Lori Vallow and or Tylee?
It does.
So each case, is there a specific number? Each case has their own DR number or incident number?
So each investigation will have their own DR number, and then our evidence, each item generates its own unique evidence item number. And those numbers are associated specifically with the specific report number.
And does that then tie in specifically to the phone that we've been discussing that belonged to Charles Vallow?
Correct.
The phone that Lori had talked to you about as the whole reason this whole incident occurred.
Right.
The state will move to admit 245.
Any objection?
No objection.
245 is admitted.
Did you later then submit a request to have an examination or extraction done of Charles's cell phone?
Correct.
And then you said use the sticky on the front to let them know how to get into it.
Correct. We'll put it, if we know it, we'll put it in the request, but oftentimes we'll put it directly with the phone also.
I have no other questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, Cross.
Oh. This was, again, I think this was a witness. If she got to take a break, she can take a break. Let's take a break, Lori.
Could you imagine arguing with this woman? She'd be like, I just think that you suck as a person. That's
No worse than the medical examiner that was on first
I
today. I
know.
was like, oh my gosh. Please.
Yeah, I know. I want Captain Colonel back.
I would say stop talking, but I really just want you
England,
to hurry
who
up.
was the case agent on July 11th, 2018?
That would have been Detective Moffett, who's now Lieutenant Moffett.
Okay. And then when did Detective Duncan when did the switch happen from Detective Moffett to Detective Duncan being the case agent? Do you know?
When Detective Moffett was promoted to Sergeant Moffett, once you're promoted, you go back to patrol as a supervisor. So when you leave the unit, we reassign case officer responsibility to a detective that's currently inside the unit. So if somebody retires or promotes, that case agent responsibility would shift over to someone else.
Okay. Do you know when that was about?
I don't.
Was it like sometime in that year, 2019, or much later?
I don't know.
Okay. You had talked about when you got the call to come and respond to the house on July 11th. About what time was that?
It was probably about 10 or 15 minutes after the initial radio traffic. I just remember I was on the 202 going westbound and my phone rang.
And when you showed up, you had stated that Alex was seated on the curb. Is that correct?
He was the first time I noticed him, yes.
And you also stated that an adult female and Tylee were already across the street when you arrived?
No,
Oh, we weren't there yet.
no.
Okay. How long after you arrived did we arrive?
I don't know when you arrived. I just became aware of you at some point. I did not see you arrive. You were not there when I got there, but at some point you got there and I became aware of you outside.
Okay. But you weren't in the house, correct?
No,
In the morning? So where were you that you didn't see us coming up at that, in between that time?
I was in front of the house.
And was your view obscured by something?
I don't believe so.
So you didn't see us drive up, you just noticed us being there at some point?
Correct.
Are you leaving us, Gabby?
No, she's saying, I said, joke's on you guys. This is actually an SNL skit. And she's saying, Carmen, everybody have a good night.
Oh, got it. I was like, what are you doing?
She's saying what you say after a skit. And I said, no.
I got it now. I got it now. It's here. It's here.
What was that?
It's going over my head.
I thought you were fixing your hair.
Have you seen my hair tonight? Does it look like I fixed it? It looks like I went in a wind tunnel.
Listen, if that's how I looked after a wind tunnel, I'm doing a good job because your hair actually looks really nice.
Oh, thank you. You weren't here the other night. Gabby and I were laughing about it when I had a little things kept coming, little orb
Little
thingies.
flyaways.
No,
Oh no,
like,
I was.
I
No,
was
I
like-
saw because there was one that I saw and it was big, and I was like, all right, well, signing off now.
I'm having a special something. It just got better.
No, I saw, but there was one that like flew right across your head, and it was
Yeah,
like,
it was weird. I don't know what was happening.
that was grandma being like, listen.
All right, sorry. I'm gonna hit play. I mean,
It was the snow that's coming.
the snow. I believe it. It was like, be careful, be careful. The snow hex is coming. The snow hex is coming.
2025 Salem Witch Trial. Brought to you here live.
The orbs of light flash out of your head. The snow hex is coming.
Next thing we know, Zach Beggins is going to be like, can I be a guest?
I'll be like, leave Aaron's ex at home, please.
Yes, Aaron's ex at home. Or in the jail cell.
Yes, just leave her right there. Live in an Indiana cornfield. Coming to you. What's the corn? We don't know.
We might go corning. We probably
No, we will not. Period. Full stop. End of period. Full stop. End. Stop. No. Okay.
You know more gangster terms than I do. I'll stop.
There's some truth to that, Flashman. I have overslept an hour and a half this morning. I overslept an hour and a half yesterday morning. And I haven't been in bed before like 11:30 and since last week sometime. I don't know. All right, I'm going to hit play because I got to take care of this text message real quick.
Okay. And when you first saw us, what were we doing? Were we talking to the officer
I believe so.
or waiting to talk to the officer?
When I first saw you, Officer Krautheim was standing with you, and it appeared like you were all talking together. I couldn't hear you from where I was at. I just noticed you.
Okay, so you saw him talking to us, but you didn't see us initially come up before when he told us to to stay where we were. You didn't see that part.
I just became aware of you standing there.
Okay. And you talked about my demeanor, right? Being ordinary. Is that what you said?
Being ordinary?
You said ordinary, non-emotional, nonchalant.
Correct.
What's your definition of nonchalant?
Pretty almost detached, just calm, doesn't really matter, kind of
Not this again, Lori.
not extraordinary.
Do you have a degree in psychology?
I do not.
Do you know what a person should act like if they're in a stressful situation?
Ma'am.
So there isn't one way to act. There's just behavior that is striking.
Unless we want to charge you,
Striking
then
behavior.
there's a way to react.
Correct.
Just saying.
I mean, you ain't wrong.
At some point when you came over to talk to me and my daughter, did we express to you that she needed her medications that were in the house?
I believe so. And that
And what did you instruct us about?
at one point, I advised the detectives that were inside of that request, but that a search warrant was happening inside the house. So we would do our best to facilitate people getting things from the house. But the search warrant's going to take precedence to what's going on.
Right, so basically that it's a crime scene and we can't really enter, but someone would try to get them for her?
Correct.
Okay, and did someone go and get them for her?
At that point, we did not have a search warrant. We weren't going to be entering the house or removing any items from the house. We didn't have legal authority to go in and remove items without a search warrant. So nothing was going to be removed from the house at that point.
But you were aware that she needed her panic attack medicine?
I was a-
Objection as to testifying and asked and answered.
Sustained, you can ask her if she was aware that she needed that medication.
Her son said they weren't that great.
You were aware that she needed her medication?
I was aware you made a request for her medication.
What, are you blaming them now that she's not alive anymore? Because she didn't get her medication?
Well, I was just about to say something.
And it would have been non-emotional if I was trying to be calm for my daughter?
Can I object to speculation?
Sustained.
Especially crazy white
Were you
lady.
being calm?
Geladas.
I believe so.
Was Officer Krautine being calm?
I think so.
Were the firefighters being calm?
I didn't see the firefighters or have any interaction with them.
Were the other detectives being calm?
I believe so.
The EMS guys were being calm?
Again, I didn't see them and have any interaction with them.
But it was a pretty
Grimace being
calm environment that day, was it not?
I don't know if I'd agree with that, but
Well, no one was running around hysterical, right?
No, because we had crime scene
Correct.
yoga.
Okay.
It's just have little baby
The
goats there.
information that you received from the briefing, was that from Officer, is it Krautine? Sorry, I don't.
Krautheim.
Krautheim.
Crouton.
Okay, thank you. Was Officer Krautheim the one that gave you the briefing on what had happened?
So Officer Krautheim and Officer Wisbicki, who Sergeant Wisbicki now,
She's about to
provided
pick that.
information to the detectives and my sergeant that had arrived.
And then who briefed you personally?
So it's a kind of a collective conversation where the initial information is provided and then we start doing assignments, basically.
Right, so Officer, sorry, say his name one more time.
Krautheim.
Krautheim,
Mhm.
okay. I'm gonna write that in phonetically.
Can I again object
I'm sorry.
to testifying?
So he was wearing a body cam, is that correct? that day? Officer Krautheim.
Correct.
And so was that briefing on body cam?
I don't know.
And you talked about the death notification to me and to Tylee. You said that Tylee and I were in the van. Is that correct?
Correct. When I came over to talk to you.
And who was with you?
My sergeant, Sergeant Lockwood.
And was Detective Moffat not with you as well?
He was not.
And so you had stated that you had asked me to get out of the van? Is that correct?
I was trying to get you to come. My intention was to get you to come out of the van. And then you made a statement that you were there. You already knew.
What did you say that made me say that I was already there?
I was asking you to step out of the van. And you said, I was there. I already know.
I already know what?
That Charles had died. I was trying not to tell you in front of your daughter.
That would have been nice, but that wasn't the point. How did I know you were coming to give me a death notification?
I reject to speculation.
Sustained.
Did you notify me that I'm going to give you a death notification? I don't want to do it in front of your daughter? What did you say?
It would be slightly redundant to tell you I was doing a death notification if I didn't want to tell you in front of your daughter.
Why would I say to you, I already know?
Sustained. That's the form of the question calls for her to speculate about your state of mind.
But hold on. Let me play devil's advocate here.
Please don't.
If you were gonna, I'm going to with her. Do I think he's 100%
Yay.
guilty? Yes, but she does. This is the only time I've seen her actually give somewhat valid legal points where, even though they're saying objection, cause for speculation, yeah,
As it does.
but it's also, I do 100% believe sometimes you do just know.
She said, I know because I was there. That's a little
understand
different than just
I
knowing.
understand, but I'm taking at her word, minus that one, of what she's trying to prove right here. This is the best I've actually seen her do. It still sucks, don't get me wrong. It's still a -5 out of 20. But I don't know. This is the best I've seen her do. Because there is things that she could actually trip the court up right here and would work in her favor.
She's not that smart.
She's not that smart. She's not going to do it,
Yep.
but she is right on the brink of that there's a few things right here she could, if she was that smart, trip the court up on, and there's nothing they can do about it.
I'm with Gabby. Hashtag free me from this day.
Go flip a city bus.
Oh, I don't even have any cows around here that I can do.
Yeah, you do. You got
No,
the.
not
Yeah, you do.
anymore.
Did they sell them?
There's no cows around here.
Even the Pardews?
I don't know. I don't think so. Should better with her original bamboo shirt material.
Hey, listen, I don't know if you've ever worn a bamboo shirt.
I have not, because I will never pay $200 for a shirt.
What are you paying? Where are you buying it? You're paying $200 for.
That's what she was all snotty about. Did you know that was a $200 bamboo shirt that Charles had on that day?
I'm not saying they don't go for that. They go well beyond that.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't realize
But-
that was a low-end bamboo shirt.
I'll buy you a bamboo shirt.
You're not buying me a bamboo shirt. Gabby said sit
No.
on quartered corn. I don't know what that means.
Is it sectioned off?
Is it sectioned? Is it peeled? Is the husk gone?
She's like, I just want to know if it's peeled and it's been cooked so it's soft
I just think you
and
threw
no
an
one's
orange.
gonna get hurt.
You threw an orange in a window. It's going through.
No, it doesn't.
North
Not
side.
that I would know. It just bounces off.
Buy it. You know you want to. I am not. I will not. You got bamboo sheets? Now little koala. Well, that sounds like a nightmare. Little baby koalas nibble on your toes every night? No. Ew.
Ugh.
And they don't koalas have chlamydia? Just something.
Don't koalas have chlamydia and gonorrhea?
Don't they have something like that?
Ask Cheyenne.
Yeah. See? That's right.
I think that's true.
Not these koalas. They've been tested. My mom had me tested.
It's like going to it's like a kid going to or a 17-year-old girl going to the, I have stomach pains. Are you changed you're pregnant? No.
My mom did not have me tested.
You're pregnant, man. There's no way.
How'd that happen?
Weird.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, they have one of those.
You're not supposed to hold a koala bear because you can get chlamydia.
I wasn't making it up. Why would I?
It's listen, this good Christian channel
It's
spreads a
warning
lot of
you about STDs. Why would, of all the things I could make up about a koala bear, why would I make that up?
I made up that Zach's my dad. I'm not against it. I'm not above that.
There's people out there that still ask to this day if
They
he's
literally think that Zach's my dad. I've
So-
never met the man. How in the chat, in case you don't know, how that came about is Zach said a smart aleck comment, and I was about to like be a mod on it, and my
and
mom
she
was
decided
like,
to be a friend.
yeah, my mom's like, no, he's just joking. And because I hadn't been in the chat all day, so I just saw that and I was like, whoa. And for whatever reason, my first reaction to type in the chat was, Zach's my dad.
You said, will you be
No, I
my
said-
dad?
No, I said, Zach's my dad.
Oh.
Because I have a screenshot of it saved. Zach's my dad. And he's been my papa ever since. Minus my real papa. I like him. Not that I don't like Zach, but I like my real papa better.
Wow, Zach, I hope you're still running like apparently Forrest Gump.
Yeah. I saw that. I'm jogging. All right, Forrest Gump. I saw that milk money come through earlier.
You had somebody ask Zach and his kid. Zach and his kid have a weird relationship.
We do. We talk about strippers and whatever else. And that is mine and Daddy Zach's relationship. And he gives us milk money.
Yeah, so we don't have to use our tears.
So we can be here with you guys.
While he takes his new family skiing.
Yeah, asshole.
Wow.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Alrighty then.
Oh, it's past 2 hours, is it?
Yes.
It's not. All right.
They was about to report them. To who?
What are you gonna do? Report it? YouTube's gonna be like,
One,
"That's
they're adults.
normal."
Two, CPS would be like, who? And who?
I don't know. I keep having this person from Beijing that keeps trying to hack my Facebook and apparently has a picture of my ID.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah. Little do they know. I work for the feds. We'll find you, Beijing man.
Little do they know, I have a picture of their ID.
Yeah, we'll find you. come over to the U.S.
Guess you could tell
All right.
Santa, no gifts for you.
I was about to make a bad joke.
So did
press-
you speak to me, giving me a death notification, or was it Lockwood?
Lockwood,
Sorry. Who spoke to us,
we were both involved in the conversation.
and what was said to us?
You said that you were there and you already knew. And at that point, shortly thereafter, I asked you if you and Tylee would come back to the station to do interviews so I could talk with you.
You asked us if we would come, or you said we're going to go down to the station and interview you?
I asked you if you would come. It was a consensual contact. It was a voluntary interview.
And is this on body cam?
I did not have a body cam at the time, no.
Did Lockwood have a body cam?
He did not. He was assigned to investigations.
So we voluntarily went to the station, is that correct?
Correct?
And you drove, is that correct?
I did.
And it was a 20 or so minute drive.
About that.
And we arrived at the station and you separated us into 2 rooms, is that correct?
Correct.
And did you ask me permission to speak to my minor daughter?
I indicated to you that I wanted to interview both of you and that we would go do the interviews in the Family Advocacy Center.
And what is the protocol for interviewing a minor?
It depends on the circumstances where you're interviewing them.
Okay, and are you a certified forensic interview of children?
I am.
And so would that be something that you would ask the parent if you could interview the minor child?
It depends on the circumstances.
Okay, and did you ask me?
I did not specifically ask your permission.
Did you ask Tylee if she wanted to be interviewed?
I'm going to object to hearsay.
Well, the question, I'll overrule the objection. The question is, did you ask Tylee yes or no?
I did at one point ask if I could speak with her.
Did either of us know that we were being videotaped?
I don't know.
Were we told that we were being videotaped?
No.
At that time, when we entered into the rooms, you left Tylee in there alone and came in to interview me, is that correct?
Correct.
And how long was that interview that you and I had?
I think it's about 35, 40 minutes, maybe a little longer.
And so that whole time, Tylee was in the room by herself,
Correct.
not knowing she was being videoed, correct?
I don't know if she knew or not.
And without her medication, correct?
I don't know, but I believe so.
And I was worried about her, if you recall, is that correct?
Object to relevance.
Sustained.
Do you always wear your gun when you are doing a forensic interview of a child?
The majority of the time now, yes, because my assignment's different. When my assignment was in our family violence unit and I was doing forensic interviews of child victims, then no.
Did you treat us like we were victims that day?
Actually, yes.
And did you think that wearing your gun might be intimidating to a child?
No, given her age, no.
It's really kind of weird, not a wow. And sad. For all 3 of them. But especially Tylee. She's teetering on that were we arrested that day question that the judge said don't ask.
Is that your normal protocol?
I object, asked and answered.
She can answer. Overruled.
For which part?
For wearing your gun doing a forensic interview of a child?
So I wasn't doing a DFI of Tylee. I was doing an interview with a witness to a scene. If it was a DFI, it would be different.
How would it be different?
So a dedicated forensic interview of a child is much different. It's structured much different. It's conducted much differently, and they're typically done of victims of very specific allegations. Physical child abuse, sexual child abuse, things along those lines. The interview with Tylee was done basically as a witness interview. I did defer some to almost like a victim status, but her interview wasn't a DFI. It wasn't done as a dedicated forensic interview. She was a witness, a potential witness to a homicide.
How long did you interview Tylee for?
What is happening? Why am I the only one on here? Ratro, it has frozen, my dears. Well, I don't have the power to kick this channel off. So,
I have no idea. I could just see StreamYard was spinning and spinning and spinning. I was like, yep, this is not going well. And also, she just did what I said she was going to do. Snow Hex.
and that's no X is like, bam!
Sorry. It may just be tired, Flashman. But you know what? We can get this off normal because we know it's not. It's anything but. All right, here we go.
Hey, I'll be
To go down to the
right
station
back. I
and
have a
interview.
phone call I gotta make.
Consensual contact. It was a voluntary interview.
And is this on body cam?
I did not have a body cam at the time, no.
Did Lockwood have a body cam?
He did not. He was assigned to investigations.
So we voluntarily went to the station, is that correct?
Correct?
And you drove, is that correct?
I did.
And it was a 20 or so minute drive.
About that.
And we arrived at the station and you separated us into 2 rooms, is that correct?
Correct.
Sorry if I went back.
And did you ask me permission to speak to my minor daughter?
I indicated to you that I wanted to interview both of you and that we would go do the interviews in the Family Advocacy Center.
And what is the protocol for interviewing a minor?
It depends on the circumstances where you're interviewing them.
I guess I went back way too far, didn't I?
Okay, and are you a certified forensic interview of children?
I am.
And so would that be something that you would ask the parent if you could interview the minor child?
It depends on the circumstances.
Okay, and did you ask me?
I did not specifically ask your permission.
Did you
Sorry, Gabby.
ask Tylee if she wanted to be interviewed?
I would object to hearsay.
Well, the question, I'll overrule the objection. The question is, did you ask Tylee, yes or no?
I did at one point ask if I could speak with her.
Did either of us know that we were being videotaped?
I don't know.
Were we told that we were being videotaped?
No.
At that time, when we entered into the rooms, you left Tylee in there alone and came in to interview me. Is that correct?
Correct.
And how long was that interview that you and I had?
I think it's about 35, 40 minutes, maybe a little longer.
And so that whole time, Tylee was in the room by herself,
Correct.
not knowing she was being videoed,
Hey.
I don't know if she knew or not.
and without her medication, correct?
I don't know, but I believe so.
And I was worried about her, if you recall. Is that correct?
Object to relevance.
Sustained.
Do you always wear your gun when you are doing a forensic interview of a child?
Oh, wow, I went way.
The majority of the time now, yes, because my assignment's different. When my assignment was in our family violence unit and I was doing forensic interviews of child victims, then no.
Did you treat us like we were victims that day?
Here we go.
Actually, yes.
And did you think that wearing your gun might be intimidating to a child?
No, given her age, no.
Is that your normal protocol?
I object, asked and answered.
She can answer. Overruled.
For which part?
For wearing your gun doing a forensic interview of a child?
So I wasn't doing a DFI of Tylee. I was doing an interview with a witness to a scene. If it was a DFI, it would be different.
How would it be different?
So a dedicated forensic interview of a child is much different. It's structured much different. It's conducted much differently, and they're typically done of victims of very specific allegations. Physical child abuse, sexual child abuse, things along those lines. The interview with Tylee was done basically as a witness interview. I did defer some to almost like a victim status, but her interview wasn't a DFI. It wasn't done as a dedicated forensic interview. She was a witness, a potential witness to a homicide.
How long did you interview Tylee for?
I believe we talked for about similar amount of time, 30, 40 minutes.
At the time, that day on July 11th, did you believe Tylee?
I'm going to object.
Sustained.
With your experience in forensically interviewing children, did you think Tylee's demeanor was genuine that day?
I'm going to object to speculation.
Sustained.
Did you have a reason to think that she might be making something up?
I'm going to object again to speculation.
Sustained.
Did you learn during Tylee's interview?
I'm going to object right there to hearsay.
Sustained.
Did you learn during my interview that Tylee came in with a bat?
I did.
And was that confirmed by Tylee?
And I'm going to object, Your Honor, pretrial ruling
yeah.
hearsay.
Sustained.
Your Honor, can we have a sidebar?
No, that's hearsay. Sustained.
But Your Honor, you said I could ask for a break. Well, you didn't ask for one. Ask for a sidebar. Thank you for the super chat. I did throw the stray child out into the streets. She's got to learn the hard way. And what do I really want to talk about? You make it mean Kool-Aid, and then you noticed I have another kid on stream. Oh, they're everywhere.
What?
You missed. I don't know.
Sorry.
I don't know
I
if you
was
were still here, but both of my kids were in chat today. Carmen and my son Brandon were in chat today.
Sibling?
I know.
Is it Zach's kid?
It's not. He doesn't belong in Zach's new family.
I'm just kidding. I'll always take my brother.
But yes, my granddaughter went home. And now, Lori, this is what I told you. She was going to push this. And she did. He said ask for a break. He didn't say ask for a sidebar. But he's still not giving her one. So let's see how she responds. You faced it. I can't even read that, Puddletown. I can't do it.
Hawking powers.
Working power.
At the end of our
Hawking
interviews,
power.
Detective Inklin, where
You bastards.
did you put us?
No.
You stayed in the Family Advocacy Center until we were ready to leave.
And did you put us in a room with a victim's advocate
I did.
and introduce us to her?
I did.
And we spoke to her.
I believe so, yes.
And then after however long that was, then you came in with my brother Alex. Is that correct?
We met them outside of the Family Advocacy Center, and then we left to go back to the house.
And you stated that I chatted the whole way back. Is that correct?
You did.
It wasn't Tylee and Alex chatting the whole way. It was me specifically.
You mostly.
It wasn't me just looking out the window and them talking to you.
I'm going to object to asked and answered.
You can answer.
Well, you're not out there sunbathing.
You can answer.
Can you ask it again?
It wasn't Alex and Tylee speaking to you and me just looking out the window the whole way home.
No.
This.
And then when we got back to the house, what happened then?
You, Tylee, and Alex left in the rental car, the little red like SUV, and I spoke briefly with the detectives who were on the scene.
Who told us to leave in the rental car?
I don't recall who told you. I just know that Alex could not take his vehicle because the search warrant was still going and the vehicle was on the curtilage of the property.
Right. So we were told we couldn't take the truck. Is that correct?
I believe so.
And we were told we couldn't take Tylee's Jeep. Is that correct?
Correct. It was in the garage.
And we couldn't take my car because it was in the garage as well.
I believe so.
And so our only alternative, because we couldn't enter the house, is that correct?
Correct.
And that we were told that we could come back later, but not at that time. Is that correct?
At the conclusion of the search warrant, yes.
And so we were told that we could take the rental car because it wasn't behind the police tape. Is that correct?
Correct. It wasn't part of the search warrant.
That we could leave and that we could come back later after we picked up JJ from school. Is that
Dad.
correct?
You could come back, assuming you picked him up from school, yes.
Well, that's not what we were instructed to do.
Objection, again, testifying.
Sustained.
So we left, is that correct? And then you entered the house after that?
You left, correct, and I entered the house after that, correct.
And what did you do inside the house after we left?
I had some
Aw.
brief discussion with the detectives who were on scene and at that point left to go work on another case.
So in the brief discussions that you had with whoever this was, were you briefing them on the events of what had happened up to that point, or?
So Detective Coons and Detective Duncan were present, along with Detective Werther. There was a crime scene technician as well.
As
And
in,
they
were there
were briefly discussing some of the artifacts that they had found in the search warrant and kind of what they were going to do. And I indicated if I wasn't needed, I was going to go work on other casework.
Okay. And then you left shortly after that?
I did.
About what time do you think that was?
I honestly have no idea.
Do you know what time we got back to the house?
I don't specifically recall, no.
You indicated that when we came back to do for Alex to do the walkthrough, that you realized you didn't have Charles' phone. Is that correct?
They had indicated prior to you coming back that they had not recovered Charles's phone. So when you returned, I asked you and subsequently Tylee about Charles's phone and where it was at.
And did she hand over the phone to you right away, right?
She did. She picked it up out of the cup holder and handed it to me.
Carmen?
And that's where it had been pretty much
It's
the whole
his
day. since I
name.
ran out the door with it.
I'm going to object to speculation and
Sustained.
testifying.
And then you asked us for the code. Is that correct?
I did.
And Tylee gave you the code. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that was about what time?
It was later in the afternoon, but I don't remember what time.
And then what happens to the phone as far as chain of custody? What happened from you taking it from Tylee to where it went next?
So our computer crimes detectives work within the main station where I work. Most of our detectives work out of there. And they do the physical exams and the downloads of the phones, computers, electronic devices there at the station. Our property room is separate. It's about a mile away from the police department. So typically when we have cell phones or devices that need exams, we will immediately deliver the device to the computer crime section. Their workspace, their cubicles and workspace upstairs is a dedicated locked area. The only people that can get into where their cubicles and exam space are the detectives that work in that area. So it sounds silly. We go up and bang on the door and get in touch with somebody, and we'll turn devices over to them. And then in our property section and our report management, we do what's called an evidence continuity sheet. So that shows how items travel from place to place, person to person, like a phone to a computer detective, or like evidence from the property room to the lab or something like that. So we will physically hand over items to the computer crimes detectives. Often cell phones have very time sensitive criteria as well. So we don't typically impound them straight into property. They go straight to a computer crimes detective.
Okay, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Thank you for that. I'm going to backtrack to, from your hands, it goes into a evidence bag?
No, it's usually in a bag. It's not sealed because we hand it over because they're going to do an exam.
So who did you hand it over to them at the station, or did you give it to someone else at the house?
No, it got handed over at the station in their workspace. They typically don't come out to scenes unless we request them. So the majority of the time we're turning evidence over to them at the station or their work area.
Okay, so just so I understand, it went from you to them.
Correct.
So you had it in your hands and delivered it to them at the station that day?
I believe so, yes.
And so you, according to the grand jury, it was at 3:11 p.m.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Oh, sorry.
The objection sustained.
My understanding was that it was about
Hold on,
3.
hold on.
Objection.
Let's break for the evening recess. Let's have the jurors report and be ready for 10:15 tomorrow morning, 10:15. Please remember the admonition.
All rise for the jury.
Yay. Thank you for watching with Court TV. Are you guys still talking?
Please be
They
seated. The jury is
are.
no longer present. All right, you can't phrase questions as your understanding or what you believe or what you remember. All those are forms of testifying, so you have to be careful how you ask your question. Also, I sustained an objection because of the reference to the grand jury and what was said in the grand jury proceedings. You can use that time and ask the witness, is 3:30 sound right, for example? But let's move on. The reason that I allowed in the various different clips of the defendant's statement over the defendant's, I should say, interview at the police station over the defendant's objection, Rule 106 isn't really applicable in that situation. Rule 106 is intended to complete a statement when only a portion of the statement is offered, and it distorts or changes the meaning of the actual statement. And it's really meant for very short statements, not entire interviews or versions of what happened. Additionally, the state has the discretion to only admit certain parts of your statement that are admissions. They're not going to admit statements, nor should they admit statements that are self-serving hearsay. So there's a reason why your interview has been cut up into different pieces. That's just for the record. Let's have everyone ready at 10 a.m. tomorrow. We'll discuss those other motions, give the defendant a chance to meet with her team about those other motions that we talked about this morning. So we'll do that at 10. We'll have the jury here and ready to go at 10:15 to resume with this witness. Anything else from the state?
There you go.
From the defense?
Yes, we have one item, Your Honor. On Thursday, we were handed this by the state in the morning. It's a new extraction of the devices of Charles Vallow, and it's the gray key that we had requested, but none of them open. So we have a flash drive, and we got it to our expert, and now it's.
Go there.
What?
Go see him.
So they're not opening. So I don't know if we need to get a new extraction or if it was tested
Well,
before it was handed over.
I don't know if it's a matter of what program is being used to open it. Do we know? I think we need more information.
Yeah. We can't utilize it if it's blank.
Well,
So
Mr. Dork, is it Mr. Dorkin says he can't open it at all?
Mr. Dork.
it's my investigator that can't open it, and then he'll hand it over to Mr.
Why
Dorkin
don't you
as
just
well.
tell me, sir?
Dork.
What's your name for the record?
Jeff White.
All right. What's the problem?
I tried to open it. I had Lonnie on the phone this morning. He's
Lonnie?
out of town, but he is on his way to. He's on his way back. He won't be here till probably 6 to 7 o'clock tonight. And I need to go up and see if he's able to extract any information from it.
Are you just trying to click on it and opening it? Or are you opening it with a particular program?
I sat with him and we were going over things for about 4 hours this morning.
Okay.
Being turned.
I guess.
Are you holding a tortoise?
Well,
Where's the
he's-
extraction coming
her
from? Who's
light
getting that
went
over?
out, so I'm trying to give
That
it some
is
more.
the Chandler Police Department handed over the raw data from Gray Key, so it's just raw random data, so I don't know it.
So it's not, is it?
It's not parsed into any sort of way to read.
Oh,
The reader. That's what I was working with
There
Lonnie.
is no reader with it. It would have to be then input into a Cellbrite to parse the data. It is the Gray Key raw data.
okay.
Was trying to do that this morning. And
But it's
what
also
we
her
were-
time to
I
be
spent
out.
4 hours doing this morning.
I think unless you have a Cellbrite account, you're not
have-
going to be able to open that.
I have two.
I'll
different
have
kinds of-
somebody.
I have the old version and the new version of Cellbrite, and I couldn't get them to open.
Well, I can't put her on the floor
Cellbrite that
right
they
now.
gave us is an old version, the 7.2, I think it is, and I think
They gave
the-
us, we
I'm
didn't
sorry?
give you Cellbrite.
It's on the.
That's a
um,
U
Don't
Federation.
you
That's
dare
not
bite me.
Cellbrite.
The Cellbrite is on the Discovery. Is on the.
With that,
I'm sorry.
with the Discovery we just handed over.
With the Discovery that was handed over before, it's downloaded onto my computer.
I think that's right.
All right.
With the FDRs.
I'm not sure that
I
that's
got two
correct.
different
I
ones.
think that it would need to go to Mr. Dworkin to review.
Is there is there someone at the police department that Mr. Dworkin can maybe get on a call with to try to figure out what the disconnect is here?
Oh, he should be
That's
hopefully
prioritized.
in
I
the
don't
next
look
hour
back
and 40 minutes. He'll be back.
it
home.
is disturbing.
I guess if he has a problem, I mean, obviously I have multiple
Hey,
problems with the fact that we're still
aggressive.
talking about an expert that has been presumptively precluded.
Right.
I think it is
While
too,
the
and I
state
feel
is
bad saying
reviewing,
that.
ending
Because I
its
do like
case in chief.
that that's just very
I
aggressive.
guess in
I guess-
theory, it could be for the next trial, but I don't know that that's going to happen either.
So I guess I would need to know first if that's actually a problem for Mr. Dworkin or not. And then if so, we would have to try to, perhaps he could explain why it's a problem.
I guess, is there someone Mr. Dworkin can, a contact point to try to figure out why, if it's a problem on this end versus that end?
I don't know, have anyone off the top of my head. My case agent is out ill today, so I couldn't tell you who that would be.
Okay.
Your Honor, she had an expert come to testify this about the Gray Key. I don't know if he's a person that was on the stand on Thursday that we could ask about this. I don't know if he made the extractions and gave them to the prosecution.
I don't know if that's technically an extraction as opposed to the raw data.
That is just the raw
Um,
data.
I'm still trying to figure out, is it a problem with what's been disclosed or is it a problem with who's trying to open it? The correct programs. I guess get with Mr. Dworkin later tonight and see if it can be resolved. If not, I'm going to have to figure out who he needs to contact or try to problem solve tomorrow sometime.
We'll let you know in the morning, Your Honor.
But again, this is unlikely to be an issue for this trial, but it could be something for the next trial. All right, we'll be at recess. I wish I had a better resolution, but I don't right now.
Because the judge wants to go home.
The judge is like, I'm over this. Leave him alone.
All right. I agree. He is a good looking dude. Just weird from the back. Is it Gorkin? I don't know. Gorkin, Dorkin.
Dorkin.
Get the Dorkin figured out. Oops. You can't make people love you. Oh, well, I'll never stop trying. Okie dokie. I was thinking maybe you're talking about my internet going down, but I don't think it went down twice. I don't know.
Oh, just talking about your reputation.
Wow.
I'm just joking.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
All right. That's the end of that riveting tale of today. Don't worry. There will be more tomorrow. It'll just be fabulous. So I'll be back tomorrow 5:30 because I won't be here tomorrow day to cover the riveting day. So I will start at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. And we will do, yay.
I will not be here because I'll be at work.
You're watching Val pound out some baby goats. Well,
That's what she said.
I don't have anything.
All right. Well, I gotta go warm this baby up. So Penelope and I say bye.
Bye, Penelope.
So normally she's on the floor, but I have a cat that's being very curious right now.
You never know what you're going to see on this channel.
Oh, nope. When I see a tortoise.
I learned learned what a Roman war helmet is today.
I told you, worth it.
Thanks, Baker. My brain is broken. All right. So 5:30 tomorrow. We'll catch this whole riveting thing up. We will be on 1.25 speed all the way through.
So, well, you'll probably be done by the time I'm off work.
But you get off at 7. That's 8 my time. Probably not. We'll be close.
Well, I probably don't get home until like 7:30. Yeah, that's if I get off on time. But how it's been, I probably won't be off till 11.
You talking about Baker's still your move? Well, I got nothing. I got nothing. But also, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Hey, Haley Mouse.
Hey. Hi.
Stopping by to say like and hi. And I don't have my glasses on, Haley, and your mouse looked like a Jason mask for a minute. Okay. What? You have nothing going on tomorrow night. So here, I'm all at all. So I'm around. All right. Perfect. All right. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'm putting up with my internet completely freaking out and leaving you just Carmen to hang out with for a minute and having her freak out.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. I don't have any controls.
I think I'll pass. I don't want to do that, Pedaltown. I didn't ask what a Roman war helmet was.
But you found out.
Everyone should go and think about what they said today and amp it up for tomorrow. You are going to bring the April Snow Hex, Brandon. It's been put up on us.
I already know what I'm going to say right when I walk into my turnout tomorrow and be like, all right, outward smiling faces and inward screams. Let's get this day going.
Okay, good. All right, you guys be good so we can get rid of this hex.
Yeah.
We don't want it. It ain't going to happen.
You know how mad I would be if I got there and it freaking snowed.
Snow till Brooklyn.
No, snow till Brooklyn.
No, we know. None. All right, behave.
All right, don't worry. I'll call you in 5 seconds.
Please do not. I'm going to bed. I'm tired.
Losing.
I've had a long day. You got to give me that one.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do, because I said so.
Yeah, you have a long day.
So, all right. See you guys tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Adair time, and you all know the rest.
All right, I will bother Gabby.
Yes, do not call me Pedaltown. Everyone, do not call me. No. No. Okay.
It's only because that's the only other number I have.
All right. Bye now.
All right, see you guys.
See ya.